to catch Coffee in Tow is an interactive world news podcast, a dynamic and engaging live show that streams across multiple internet radio stations worldwide. This podcast brings you real time news updates, in depth analysis, and interactive discussions on global events, making you a part of the conversation no matter where you are. With a diverse range of expert guests and listener participation, it's your go to source for staying informed and connected to the world. Coffee in Tow is brought to you in part by Lormel Skin Food. Log on to lormelskinfood.com. Discover the range of natural skincare solutions. Indulge in the radiance of natural and organic beauty with the best natural and organic soap bars, whipped soaps, body butters, and oils. All 100% natural products. Lormel Skin Food for a natural, beautiful you. The world's best coffee from our farms to your cup. It's Grand Coffee House. All right, good morning, YouTube. Thank you so much for being here with us. Welcome to Coffee in Tow. It is Wednesday, January 22. Can you imagine? We're almost at the end of the year. Yeah, I needed to do me a favor. I'm bothering you this morning. I know you're home. You're snowed in. Beautiful picture of the snow, I must say, but I needed to do me a favor. If you can go on Jano and let us know if you can hear us in fan base. I just want to make sure we're good to go. But go ahead and say something, Ja. Let us hear that beautiful voice.
Good morning, Queen Moments. Good morning, King Adesoji.
What is Adesoji today, Ja? What's up with him?
I left him speechless.
Oh, Lord have mercy. Good morning, Mad Libran. Mad Libran is with us here on YouTube. Good morning. How's the weather in the north, the real north? Hope you are staying warm up there in Canada. Yes, Ja. So I don't know what's going on with Adesoji. He since he's
Good morning, Americans. How are we today?
That's the Adesoji we want. We don't need the eyes poking out at us every minute. You're as though googly eyes, like we said something wrong.
No, I have to check to see if it's safe to come out because
Listen, you're not gonna do it, Sana. You're not. Woo! Hold on. So I'm looking on YouTube. Mad Libran says temperatures. You want to hear what the temperatures are, or what the temperature is up there where he is? Minus 18 degrees, and with the wind chill, it is minus 24 degrees. Me no make for them the weather there. Not at all. Mm-mm. Oh, he said Celsius. So what is that in Fahrenheit? Are you all up there metric? Your metric? Yeah, I forget that to me. Convert that for me, Mad Libra. You was a teacher. Or, they say once a teacher, always a teacher. So even though you may not be teaching, as long as you have taught, as long as your qualification is within the educational field, you are that for the rest of your life. Yes, you are a teacher. So convert that for me and put in at the comments. But whatever, that still sounds harsh. That sounds harsh to me. Ja, what are the temperatures where you are this morning? Where's Ja? Okay. I know it's cold over.
I was doing my other job, and yes, everything is A-OK.
All right. They really have you working over there?
Yeah. As long as you have internet.
How them know you have internet?
Okay. But that even wasn't the job. I was on Jano, just, making sure everything was okay.
I
I
know.
was
I'm
doing
just
my
messing.
other job.
I was messing with you. Yeah, I know. I know. I know.
It is currently 25 degrees in Houston, Texas.
Wow. 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 Y'all can keep that over there. Y'all can keep that over there.
The good thing, we only have it for like a couple of weeks each year. And like as of tomorrow, the high will be 60 something.
Listen, that's still cold to me. That for me, that is still cold. Still cold.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. The 60s in the South feel different than the 60s in the East.
Woo. Child, y'all can keep that. Okay, so Mad Libran says 18 degrees Celsius. Una can't keep that. Una can't keep that. Una can't keep that over there. Not at all. I was not made for that weather. But you know what is interesting? Jamaicans are everywhere in the world. You do have Jamaicans in Alaska. As a matter of fact, Marlon's cousin, he has a cousin. She is a travel, she works in the health field. She's not a nurse, but she, I don't know what the position is in the hospitals when you go and you, um, the paperwork. No, no, no. I think it's for social services, something like that. And I'm not sure what the title is, but I think that's what she does. And she travels for that. And she's right now based in Alaska. And she's been there since last year, I think. But she says she loves it. But prior to her, I remember years ago when I was working at a particular bank in Jamaica, a co-worker of mine, her sister lived in Alaska, and you're talking about from in the 90s. Why not do open on them the cold place? Bad Libran say you have to have tough skin. Yes, you have to have tough skin. Definitely. 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 All right. Well, thank you once again to everyone listening online, qmzradio.com, janoradio.com, madmusichouse.com, everyone right here with me on Fanbase. And of course, thank you to everyone watching on our YouTube live. And you can, head on over to www.coffeeintow.com to watch the to I can't even talk to watch the YouTube live. That to subscribe. All right, so here we go. First order of business for today. Um, let's see what we got going on. What's our first story? Our first story out of the Caribbean corner, Belize takes dun, 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 dun. Okay, here we go. It's finally up. So Belize takes steps to expand sugar exports within CARICOM. The government of Belize initiated new efforts to strengthen its sugar export capabilities to CARICOM markets. This happened during a key meeting. You can tell I'm cold, right? Oh my gosh. I'm even freezing up. This is not the weather for me. 52 degrees. All right, let me start over. I apologize. Let me warm up. Somebody turn the heater on. All right, the government of Belize initiated new efforts to strengthen its sugar export capabilities to CARICOM markets during a key meeting held recently in Belmopan between government officials and industry representatives. Minister of State for Foreign Trade Osmond Martinez met with representatives from Belize Sugar Industries and the Directorate General for Foreign Trade to develop strategies for expanding the country's presence in regional sugar markets. Martinez, during the discussions, said, "We are determined to work collaboratively with BSI and other stakeholders to capitalize on export opportunities and ensure that Belize remains a key player in the regional sugar trade." The meeting addressed several critical areas within the regional trade framework, including the optimization of the common external tariff suspension regime and improved compliance with the revised Treaty of Chaguaramas. Officials also examined ways to enhance Belize's competitive position within the CARICOM single market and economy. All right. Yeah. sugar is something that I think the Caribbean is known for. And of course, there are so many byproducts of sugar, right? Um, you have, hold on one second, let me fix. Okay, so you have vinegar. You know, let me go to Google while I'm saying them. There is vinegar, of course, brown sugar, white sugar, and white sugar is bleached brown sugar, in my opinion. But you have white sugar, brown sugar, molasses, um, rum. Lord of mercy, good old rum. How could I forget the rum? Yes, good old rum. But anyway, let me go ahead and type in the vinegar. I said vinegar. Did I say vinegar? Um,
I didn't hear it.
okay, vinegar. Yes, that vinegar has so many uses. All right. All right, so here we go. Let me get them right. Um cellu what is cellulitic materials? Hold on, let me look that up. I don't know me already how my brain work already. You know how my brain work already. I got to look something up to make sure we all have a clear understanding. Cellulitic. Okay, here we go. Cellulitic changes. No. That's not giving me what I need. It's cellulitic materials. That's what I need. Good morning, Mr. President. Good morning, Sean.
Good morning.
Uh, welcome. All right. So let me go back here and get this right. Listen, you know what I'm doing, Ja? I'm doing something. I split the screen, so not to bear with me. And the funny thing is, I can't put my glasses on because if I put my glasses on, I can't see properly. Morning, AT. Good morning. All right. So, okay. So, whatever. The cellulosic materials are materials made from cellulose, a natural polymer found in plants. Okay, got it. All right. So I have a better understanding. I'm sorry, folks. That's how my brain works. And I'm sorry that you have to go through that with me. My apologies. My apologies. Okay, so byproducts of sugarcane include bagasse. Bagasse is a fibrous material left over after harvesting sugarcane. It can be used as a sustainable alternative to plastic in food service packaging. But not only that, I don't know if you're from the Caribbean, I don't know if you've ever heard them talk about bagasse board, which is used to make furniture. Yes. Yes. So for and it makes it more affordable for folks, right? More affordable. Um, Another thing, but molasses. Molasses is a byproduct of sugarcane processing that contains up to 48% sugar. Now, what do we use molasses for? Some people use molasses as a sweetener, right? Some people use it when they're cooking to brown their meat. Now, browning is molasses. Did you know that? Yeah, browning is molasses. So that's a byproduct. You have filter mud, the impurities removed from sugarcane juice during filtration. It's used to make fertilizer because of its nitrogen content. There you go. You have the cane tops, of course, which you can use that um, to feed cattle or livestock. And in livestock, that will eat it, right? Goats, primarily goats. Do pigs eat it? I'm not so sure, but definitely goats and cows. All right. Then there's this other one, lignosulfonate. All right, man. We are learn some word today. All right, lignosulfonate, a component derived from bagasse lignin. Then there's ethanol, a chemical produced from sugarcane. Um, you have syrups. Yes, how could I forget syrups? A product made from sugarcane juice that's cooked and concentrated in open kettles. So, sugarcane is not only good for producing sugar, brown sugar, white sugar, but there are so many byproducts that have so many uses. So, I applaud Belize for definitely wanting to follow through to see to it that we ensure sugarcane doesn't go anywhere. The production of sugarcane doesn't go anywhere. All right. Okay, next up. Anybody want to say anything on that before I move on to the next one? Okay, we hop on over to Grenada for our next story. Hold on 1 second. All right. Okay. So out of Grenada, China, Grenada, China, 2 decades of cooperation and mutual respect. And let me go ahead and pin the, where is my, okay, Lord have mercy, mercy, mercy. Where, let me post it, the link on, I had to come out of the what you call it, split screen because me can't see and I can't wear my, I had to go back for my old glasses. Remember, I told you I lost my other glasses. I'm gonna reach at the optician yet. Yeah.
Just breathe, moment. You don't have to do everything at one time. Enjoy it. Just breathe.
Whew. Breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out. What song is that? There's a song with that. But anyway, all right. So, out of Grenada, according to nowgrenada.com, the government of Grenada is pleased to celebrate the 20th anniversary of the resumption of diplomatic relations between Grenada and the People's Republic of China. This significant milestone marks 2 decades of cooperation and mutual respect between the two nations. Since the re-establishment of diplomatic relations on the 20th of January 2005, Grenada and China have fostered a strong relationship, and this relationship is based on trust, solidarity, and a shared vision for sustainable growth and development. Over the last 2 decades, this collaboration has, I keep seeing this word collaboration. It keeps popping up in so many different articles. But anyway, this collaboration has resulted in meaningful achievements across various sectors, including agriculture, culture, education, health, infrastructure, and tourism. To commemorate this historic occasion, an official visit was made to the People's Republic of China from the 11th to the 17th of January of this year by a delegation led by Prime Minister the Honorable Dickon Mitchell, setting the stage for an even brighter future of cooperation. Hmm, okay. Another So, how do you, Mr. President? I'm not sure if you're able to speak, but how do you feel about this? The celebration of this 20-year relationship. Um, if you're able to
Well,
speak, yeah. Thank
yeah,
you.
I haven't. They signed what 13 MOUs,
Yes. Yeah.
memorandum of
Yeah.
understanding,
Uh huh.
and I haven't looked into the details of them.
Uh huh.
But strategically, I mean, China is a world leader, and I don't think there's anybody in the world today who could get through without dealing with China or have some kind of relationship, direct or indirect. It's not bad to have a good relationship with China. What you have to be is careful to make sure that we're not signing the same kind of plantocracy agreements that we had, the neo-colonial agreements we had with the West before.
Mm-hmm.
Because if we shift from the West to the East and we keep the same dynamics, then there is no difference. We're still a plantation.
Yeah.
But I'll have to, before I can critically like speak on it,
Mm-hmm.
I'll have to look at the MOUs and so. But I know it's the former government that went back to China. There was one time Grenada, I think under the NDC was dealing with Taiwan. I think it was Prime Minister Kit Mitchell who made a strategic move to go to China.
Mm-hmm.
That's why it's just 20 years. But yeah, the relationship is not bad. It's what you get out of it,
Mm-hmm.
or what you expose yourself to.
Right.
That makes the difference.
Yeah. And of course, we want to ensure that, you know, Grenada is not doing what Jamaica has done. And I know I'm sure we are aware of what has happened, especially when we talk about the 800 acres of prime real estate that was handed over to the Chinese in the beautiful parish of St. Anne. Yeah. Yeah. And One of the complaints that we have from many Jamaicans about the Chinese community, and I'm not talking about the Chinese that have been there for years now, the ones who escaped um, their situation many years ago, because I think we have up to what, 3, 4 generations going back of Chinese in Jamaica. And I think I forgot the title for them. This, I think it starts with an H, that tribe or the region that they're out of. However, it's the new ones that are coming there now. And many Jamaicans are complaining that the government has bent over backwards to facilitate them. And not only in facilitating them, but the disrespect that Jamaicans endure from them. Yeah, I'm hearing those complaints that allegedly they are mistreating the Jamaicans that work for them. They are, um, I don't know what the right word to use is, so I want to proceed with caution. But there is the display of discrimination, so to speak. They don't want you in their little communities that they have set up. I don't know how true it is. As I said, allegedly, that's what I'm hearing from some Jamaicans on the ground, and they're not happy. They're not happy about it, So I don't know. All right. So, Grenada, Mr. Mitchell, I just sincerely hope that these MOUs are beneficial to the island of Grenada, the citizens of Grenada. Yeah, we don't want exploitation in any way, shape, or form. I'll say that. All right. We're still in Grenada. Our next story, this one. Prime Minister Dickon Mitchell criticizes medical professionals for hindering diaspora contributions. Thank you for sending this one over, Mr. President. Let's go ahead and get into this article, and you can find this one on the newtodaygrenada.com. Prime Minister Dickon Mitchell has called out Grenada's medical community for creating roadblocks that discourage Grenadian healthcare professionals in the diaspora from offering their services to the country. Speaking during the Grenada Broadcasting Network's weekly Beyond the Headlines program on Monday, the Grenadian leader highlighted what he described as a cultural resistance to outside assistance, even when it could strengthen Grenada's struggling healthcare system. He charged that there is a cultural challenge where Grenadians who are specialists in the diaspora are often not received well locally, or there are significant roadblocks in terms of being received well. Prime Minister Mitchell revealed that many diaspora professionals, some educated in Grenada, have encountered hostility or indifference when attempting to volunteer their skills on a pro bono basis. There are doctors who wish to volunteer, and for some reason, there is almost a culture where people are heaping scorn. Prime Minister Mitchell described this as a significant obstacle to improving Grenada's healthcare system, which he characterized as underperforming. We cannot continue to preside over failure and a poor health system when there are people willing to help and they cannot get the opportunity simply because we put roadblocks in their way, he remarked. The Grenadian leader acknowledged the responsibility of the Grenada Medical and Dental Council on the issue under the 2010 Health Practitioner Act, but noted that the problem extended to the broader medical community. I'm not understanding this at all, Mr. President. Why would there be disdain? I don't know if that's the right word to use in this situation, but why would you be opposed? Yeah, disdain is the right word to use. Yeah, come to think of it, disdain is the right word to use. But why would one be opposed or not want to be receptive when it comes to helping? Is it because of the pro bono situation? Are you able to speak, Mr. President? Because this is your country. You'd have a greater understanding. I don't get it. you would think that, but then again, I want to ask Mr. Mitchell, Prime Minister Dickon Mitchell. Go ahead, Mr. President. Go ahead.
Yeah, moment. You find that all over, right? There are people that feel professions, species, resources belong to them, and they probably think somehow they will lose off if you have people coming and offer the pro bono, or even come in and work and compete with them, even if it's just for a short period of time. And I think it's a mindset. It's a mindset. You understand? There are also people, for instance, you leave the Caribbean, you go away, you come back, and some people feel like you sort of lost your birthright because you went to try to better your life or whatever it is. And when you come back, it's like they have to share something with you, or you're trying to take something that belongs to them. So they take ownership of it. And what I'm gonna say, the healthcare situation in Grenada is bad. It could be much, much better. If you look at where we were under the revolution 30 years ago, we regressed. The outgoing prime minister did a lot of stuff development wise and stuff like that, especially infrastructure and so on, roads and so on. But one thing he did not do was work on the healthcare in the country. I think the current prime minister is trying to utilize, not just in healthcare, but he's trying to utilize the diaspora more, because I think he has a vision and realized that the diaspora has a lot it can offer. I think there is more Grenadians living abroad than living in Grenada. We only have 100,000 people or so, 110,000 in Grenada. So if you have all these highly qualified people and you make it easy for them to come back and contribute, especially in the healthcare system, then you could only lift everybody up and make things better.
Right.
I've known a situation where there was an ambassador to Grenada who secured some dialysis machine and could not get the ministers, the ministry, or nobody in charge to give her this, to review the specs of the machines to see if it is something that they could utilize down there. And the machine she was getting from institutions here in the US for free, to the point where she was so frustrated she just sent one now. But even when you do things like that, then it's almost like a waste of time, because it goes there, it ends up in a warehouse somewhere, it's not utilized, it's not, you understand what I'm saying? And you don't want to send a machine that people are not qualified for, you don't have the prerequisite and retrofitting and everything like that. But there is a lot of room, especially in the medical field, for us to know and provide assistance, especially from the diaspora to the country, because the country have limited budget to do a lot of stuff. So if you have people coming and volunteer the time, the expertise, and all that, it could only lift everyone. So it's a mindset we're fighting against.
Wow, such a shame. Such a shame. All right. Thank you so much for shedding some light on that for us, Mr. President. We appreciate that. All right. Moving right along in our next article, we head on over to Haiti. A Haitian judge has been suspended for releasing school principal accused of SA on a 14-year-old. Why may I tell you now? Wickedness. When wickedness I got done, that's all I want to know. This next article comes to us courtesy of CaribbeanNationalWeekly.com. Let me go ahead and pin it on our YouTube live. Okay, here we go. According to CaribbeanNationalWeekly.com, a Haitian judge, yes, a judge, has been suspended for 3 months over his decision to release a school principal who was accused of essaying a 14-year-old child who became pregnant as a result. The country's Superior Council of the Judiciary suspended Judge Merlan Belabre following complaints related to the case. In a letter sent to the judge, the president of the CSPJ, Jean Joseph Lebron, said the decision to suspend the judge followed an investigation into his ruling. It was decided at the statutory meeting of Thursday, January 16, 2025, to place you on leave for a period of 3 months, pending your appearance before the disciplinary court, which will rule definitively on your situation. The January 17 letter was also copied to the Dean of the Court of First Instance of Port-au-Prince and the Personnel Service of the Higher Council of the Judiciary. It seems as though 2025 is the year of just putting a slap on the wrist, the year of not holding people accountable for their actions, no matter how egregious they are. It looks as though we're heading into 2025 on a free-for-all yacht, to put it that way. And I think you all know what I'm alluding to. But this judge, is he of sound mind? You would release a principle on, okay, back up moment. Take the emotions out of it. Take the emotions out of it. What evidence was presented to the court? Was the evidence that was presented substantial enough for you to make this decision? Were you furnished with a DNA, with DNA results? Has paternity been established? Right? Has paternity been established? Now, if you were furnished with said results, and it's clear that you are the father of this child, or I'm sorry, not you, the teacher, the principal is the father of the child, you thought it reasonable to let this man go? So what is the message you're sending to your society? That whatever, as long as you are in some position of power and you intrude someone, you're okay. Nothing will happen to you. Okay. All right. 3 months. How do we feel about his punishment of 3 months? Should this judge be allowed to return to the bench? Should his license to practice be revoked? What should happen to him? I don't know. Good morning. Good afternoon, Adesoji.
Yes, good afternoon. I was called away on the very important courts.
I understand when King Charles needs you.
Yeah, palace bit. No, palace bit. You don't know the palace business. Oh yes. So what's with the judge? Yes, Miss Ja. Your eyes are straining. I hope you.
Go ahead, Soji. Go ahead. I have to step away 1 second, but go right ahead. Go right ahead.
Okay, so in matters like this, when the judge has been suspended, it's of utmost importance that everything be checked, and we also have to be open to the idea that we might not find anything, or we might not find him guilty or her guilty. But I know it might not be the best thing that the parties might want to hear, but it's also important for justice not just to be done, but to be seen to be done. So it's one of the underlanes of being part of a quote unquote international judicial system, unfortunately bequeathed to you by the crown. And Ms. Javets?
Yes, Adesoji.
Yes. Would you have anything more to add to what I prefer?
I am very biased when it comes to SA. So you know how back in the day they used to say off with their heads?
Oh.
I would move that a little bit further down and still say off with their heads.
Oh, yeah. Oh. Oh, you want to go
Yeah,
back
you may
to
not want to hear my
you want to go
you
back to the days of the accused shall be tied to 4 stallions and whipped in 4 opposite directions to the corners of the kingdom, and they be quartered. Yeah.
Honestly, the way that the laws are being directed toward women, what I really want to say is mothers, we have to put a little bit more effort in protecting our children.
Very much so.
And communicating to them why we are saying or doing the things that we are doing to protect them. Not just say because I said so, because that's how I grew up, with my mother saying because I said so. But have real conversations, especially about the stories that are being broadcast about SA. So that's really what I want to say. Fathers as well, because
it's a thing.
It is being done by a masculine figure. So
who would have learned that behavior from somewhere.
Exactly.
Or picked it up somewhere.
Exactly. So let me, parents, of course, but, the mother will have a different conversation with her daughter than maybe the father would. But you never know, because there are a lot of single men now raising young girls. So that's what I want to say. But I still like the first part that I started with, off with their heads.
Or we go back to Victorian times when they would often be tied to horses, their limb, and the executioner will say, "Whip the horses until pull thee apart." So that the point is to take one of those limbs to each corner of the kingdom. So that the question will be, what did he do? Then,
Wow.
wait, that was their Instagram at the day.
Wow.
And if you're not really charging them with crimes, if they're not really being punished for crimes, it's not going to stop. I don't think.
I mean, not to distract from what we're saying. It's unfortunately the way the judicial system is framed. It seems as if the perpetrators of such acts at some point would have to be reintegrated into society at the detriment of the society in which they harmed in the first place. So here, that's the tightrope we have to work. And so, do we say we discard that element of it and just say, you know what, you've erred against this society, and we no longer want to have anything with you? You also know, flip side, in the place that you are being, America, there is a history of stuff like that being used extrajudiciously to put away. And so again, one has to balance. I mean, I suppose if we allow DNA to take its course, we would find, but so you know what I'm saying. So.
Yeah, we get it. We get it. All right. I want to say thank you once again to everyone listening online, qmzradio.com, janoradio.com, madmusichouse.com. Thank you to everyone right here with me on Fanbase. And thank you to everyone listening and or watching on YouTube Live. Thank you for visiting www.coffeeinto.com. All right. So next up, we head on over to Jamaica. Titchfield High alumni in Florida donate US $43,000 to alma mater. This article courtesy of CaribbeanNationalWeekly.com. The Titchfield High School Alumni Association South Florida chapter has made a significant contribution to their alma mater donating US $43,000, which is approximately 6.7 million Jamaican dollars. This donation was made to support student education and facility upgrades. The donation was presented on Monday during a brief ceremony at the school, where Paul Perry, president of the Florida chapter, along with two other alumni, handed over the check to Vice Principal Cheryl Horn-Mayer. Speaking at the event, Perry highlighted the association's growth since its establishment in 2000, when it started with just 15 members. By 2025, membership had exceeded 1,000, drawing support from alumni based in the United States, Canada, and the United Kingdom. Welcome, God. Congratulations. And I sincerely hope the funds will be put to good use. In our next article, we're still in Jamaica. Well, this article comes to us from. Go ahead. Morning, James. Go right ahead.
Morning.
Good morning.
Yeah. I hope people in Jamaica are listening, because sometimes them like Jamaicans living in the diaspora.
Oh,
So I
they
hope they're
do.
listening.
What are some of the things that they say?
Well, somebody cussed me out the other day and said, what them say? Like, oh, you're, what did they say again? Something like, oh, you're something like dash with Jamaica, and
You throw a stone behind you?
like they said, like, oh, how dare you be talking on anything that's happening in Jamaica, and you like you're a traitor or whatever, or something like that they're saying. And I'm saying, like, look, Jamaicans in the diaspora contribute a lot. I put the money, the billions of dollars that Jamaicans send back, and plus schools and stuff like that they help to fund.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so a lot of people in Jamaica like to come up with that. Whenever you give your opinion about politics or anything like that, they're like, oh, like, you know, I'm not saying because you don't live here and you're this and you're that. And I'm like, we're contributing, we're paying property taxes, we're paying, so I hope they're listening.
So in other words, just do what you're doing and shut up. You're not living here, just send the money come. We don't care we don't want your opinion. We don't want to hear anything you have to say. Okay, wow.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not a good stance, Jamaicans in Jamaica. I would implore you to change that stance, because let us not be fooled. Do we have updated numbers for 2024 remittances? Do we have numbers for that? You can't want money and not want, and then I tell you, so we can't say nothing. Because at the end of the day, if everyone in the diaspora who sends money to Jamaica via remittances or via transfers, if they were to put a stop to that, what would happen to many Jamaicans in Jamaica who are heavily dependent? Because yes, I'm not gonna talk this, and some people not gonna like when I say this, but you have a lot of Jamaicans who have a Rolodex. Them still use Rolodex or whatever. You go through them smartphone, right? And them call Tom, Dick, and Harry, Sister Mary, Sister Jane, and Sister Olive. And then sit down and say, who them sit down and say, boy, my light, I got cut off, my water I got cut off, me need for God doctor, me not have no house, beg a little credit. And they have a list of things that they ask for. And everybody, if you tap into 10 people, and 10 people can give you $100 for the month. Hold on, let me calculate that. You know what? Because me not just attack. A facts me I tell you now. I've heard the stories from Jamaicans who consistently get the phone calls. Them not get a phone call for said, how you do? Like you'd have called the person on Monday and say, how are you? Everything all right with you? Like how the time cool? I hope you're safe and so. No, they're not calling for check by you. Them are calling for tell us that they not no food in their house. They not have no money for God doctor. And then I have money for this, that, and the other. All right. So if you call 10 people and you're able to accumulate $1,000 for the month from them 10 people there, times 158, you have amassed $158,000. And a lot of times, some of them who are doing the calling, because that seems to be the job. Yes, no can knock me down, me no business. A lot of them who are doing the calling not having a regular job, and then tell us that they now go work because they can call foreign and get what they need. And a lot of them don't pay rent nor mortgage. And you can tell me, say a lie, me I tell. Go right ahead.
Moments, this tie back into the story you just read about Grenada, where the Prime Minister is saying that there are people and professionals in Grenada who has an issue with people from the diaspora, especially professional, contributing the time and donating back their time and so to the profession and to the healthcare industry. So now it's the same thing I was trying to explain what James say. It's like they think once you leave, you're not part of, you shouldn't be partaking there. But remittance is one of the main revenue generation for every government in the Caribbean. Remittance is huge. During the pandemic, the longest line was for MoneyGram and Western Union. Could not even get. You have to go sometime days. You have to wait to get it. That is the kind of money that people were sending from the diaspora back to the Caribbean.
Yeah, we can't deal with them way, man. Good morning. Go ahead, Soji. Go right ahead.
I just add, what James said there was quite hilarious when he said, no, you said it, that so you simply want to take the money, but you don't want us to talk about what the money, we'll talk about the environment, right? I wonder what would happen if Jamaica were to take the same line with the World Bank and the IMF. Just give us the money and go. Yeah.
Yeah, because I did a story the other day on this Jamaican YouTuber, right? He was in the States the other day, and he was in Florida, and one of this Jamaican born mayor in Florida, like she honored him, gave him like a plaque or something like that, and recognized him for his work, because he does a lot of charity and stuff like that, and he does charity in St. Vincent, and then Ralph Gonzalez sit down with him and thank him too. And I did a video and I'm saying, yo, like Jamaicans should be ashamed because this guy's getting honored in the States, in St. Vincent, for doing good work as a young man. And whenever the crime turn up in Jamaica, they blame young people. So I'm like, why can't the government or private sector partner with these young guys? Because they are doing good things and they're influencing young men and taking other young men off the street. They're doing feeding the homeless and stuff like that. And would you believe that I got the response that I got? People in Jamaicans in Canada and America, like they pretty much were saying, yes, that is true. Like the government can do something. People in St. Vincent were saying the same. Jamaica, yo, we allow my prime minister alone and this and they are foreign and a trust to him and blah blah, and they're saying like, why the prime minister need to acknowledge him? Like he might just want like a YouTuber with on camera, he might not know hero, and and I'm like, just the mindset, that they're ready to blame. They blame the dancehall artists for bringing down the country and violent music and stuff like that. Those guys are young guys. So if you're gonna blame them for bringing down the country, when the ones out there that are vlogging and they're doing positive stuff, why not uplift them and acknowledge them? Like, you don't have to give them any money. Ralph, call the guy, sit down with him and talk to him and say, look, I heard that the Hurricane Beryl came and you come to a thing, and I know that you're from Jamaica. And him say, yes, I used to go to school in Jamaica too, and I know Jamaican people, this and that. And him sit down with the guy and talk to him and say, thank you for what you're doing in St. Vincent. That's all it takes. You don't have to give him any award or any money.
All right. Thank you for that, James. All right. Moving right along, our next article. We are in Jamaica for this one. Hold on. Where you there? No. I pinned the wrong one. Oh, no, forgive me there. Hold on there. I pinned the wrong one. Let me go back and grab the other article. Diaspora urges undocumented Jamaican parents to make contingencies for US-born children. No, never did that already. Hey, me telling us, didn't we have the conversation here where we encouraged folks to get dual citizenship for your children? Don't put all your eggs in one basket. Did we not say that? Okay. Well, here we go. Let's go ahead. Let me pin this one on YouTube. My apologies, folks. All right. So this article comes to us courtesy of Nationwide Radio, JM. And we have a soundbite for it as well. Managing Director of Caribbean Immigrant Services in the United States, Erwin Clare, is urging undocumented Jamaicans in that country to have a contingency plan for their children born in the USA. In the event, they're picked up under Donald Trump's new executive orders. Immigration was a cornerstone of Donald Trump's successful election campaign in 2024, and he has already taken steps to expel millions of illegal immigrants from the country. Here is Dana Davey with more in this report.
In his inaugural address on Monday, the 47th U.S. president vowed that all illegal entry will be halted and millions of criminal aliens will be deported.
All illegal entry will immediately be halted, and we will begin the process of returning millions and millions of criminal aliens back to the places from which they came.
President Trump, on his first day back in the Oval Office, signed several executive orders aimed at cracking down on immigration. An executive order is a written law introduced by the president that doesn't need to be approved by other U.S. politicians. It is a powerful tool, but it does still need to be legal and should not breach the U.S. Constitution. Trump's executive orders include one ending birthright citizenship for children born in the U.S. to immigrants who entered the country illegally. Those children automatically become U.S. citizens. This order is likely to face political and legal challenges. President Trump also declared illegal immigration at the U.S.-Mexico border a national emergency and has ordered the military to seal off the border. Clare is advising undocumented Jamaicans with children born in the USA to have a contingency plan.
Be mindful of your status, whether you're legit, legal or not. And if you're undocumented, be cognizant of where you go and know who you're dealing with and put in place. Because many of these people who, have children who are born here, if you have a birthright situation, who are citizens. And so if you're undocumented and you have children, make sure you have plans in place. Should in case you are removed, what happens to your children? Should in case you're removed, if you're a diabetic, where your meds are. Should in case you're removed, where your documents are. We think of these things and not look at the other factors here. The health consideration, the security of your family. You're the breadwinner. What takes place?
He's also advising documented Jamaicans to retain electronic evidence of their status in the country.
Have on your telephone your documents, images of your documents, identification that purports you to be legitimate here in the United States. It is that type of environment that we're in today. There are still some people feel that they're aloof and they're above this, but this is the world we live in today. You've heard what Holman says. You've heard what the president says. Whether it is legitimate or not, these guys are feeding raw meat to their base.
Dana Davey for Nationwide News.
Wow. Well, what plans do we have in place? What plans do you all have in place? What plans do your family members and friends have in place? We're not saying it's going to happen to you in particular, but you never know. Are you prepared? So when we talk about the ending of birthright citizenship, I want to raise one concern. What's his name? Wasn't he born? Well, hold on. Let me not jump the gun because I think I have an article coming up later on. As a matter of fact, you know something? Let me go ahead and jump to it because I don't want to speak out of turn. But it has to do with birthright citizenship. So let me just go ahead and fast forward for a second here. US. Okay. National Weekly. Let me pin it on YouTube because it ties in. So this one is out of the stories out of North America, where President Trump signs millions of criminal immigrants. Yep, that's how an immigrant is looked at. Often when you hear these things, it pains your heart because you wonder who did the processing when the Mayflower landed. But that's another story for another day. All right, so let me go ahead and read this article where President Trump signs order to restrict birthright citizenship. So I know there are some things in here. President Donald Trump, according to CaribbeanNationalWeekly.com, has signed an executive order changing how birthright citizenship works in the United States. Under the new rule, not all children born on U.S. soil will automatically be considered U.S. citizens. The order states that children born in the U.S. will not qualify for citizenship if their mother is in the country unlawfully or on temporary visas, such as student or tourist visas, unless their father is a U.S. citizen or a lawful permanent resident, meaning a green card holder. This new rule applies only to children born 30 days or more after the order was signed. Let me read that again. The order states that children born in the U.S. will not qualify for citizenship if their mother is in the country unlawfully or on temporary visas, such as student or tourist visas, unless their father is a U.S. citizen or a lawful permanent resident, meaning a green card holder. This new rule applies only to children born 30 days or more after the order was signed. The order also mandates strict enforcement measures. Federal departments, including Homeland Security, the State Department, and the Justice Department, are tasked with implementing the order. Within 30 days, they must issue public guidance to align their policies and ensure compliance. The impact on Caribbean Americans. This change could significantly affect families in the Caribbean American community. Many Caribbean immigrants in the U.S. have children who gain citizenship simply by being born in the country, a process protected under the 14th Amendment of the Constitution. This long-standing principle has helped generations of Caribbean Americans build their lives in the U.S. While there isn't official data on how many Caribbean Americans are U.S. citizens because of birthright citizenship, experts note that this policy has played a key role in shaping the community. For many, it has meant access to better opportunities in education, work, and social services. Then there is the legal and social debate. The 14th Amendment says anyone born in the U.S. and subject to the jurisdiction thereof is a citizen. The Trump administration argues that this has never applied to anyone, or to everyone rather, born in the U.S., particularly children of people in the country unlawfully or temporarily. However, critics argue that this executive order goes against over a century of legal precedent and could face strong legal challenges. Immigrant rights advocates say the new rule will create confusion and hardship for families, while supporters argue it's a step towards stricter immigration control. For many Caribbean families, this change could mean rethinking how they secure legal status and citizenship in the U.S., especially if they rely on birthright citizenship for their children's future. As the debate continues, this executive order could reshape the path to U.S. citizenship and significantly impact immigrant communities, including Caribbean Americans. Now, there is also another article that I want to bring up, which is also in our News Out of North America segment, but it relates to everything that we're talking about. So a bishop confronts Trump during a sermon at the inaugural prayer service, and we have a soundbite for this, so I'll go ahead and play it. All right, here we go.
The Episcopal Bishop of Washington addressed President Trump directly during yesterday's prayer service at the National Cathedral, calling for mercy on those afraid. NPR religion correspondent Jason DeRose reports.
Donald Trump and J.D. Vance attended the service, sitting in the front row with their wives. Bishop Marianne Budde addressed Trump directly during her sermon.
In the name of our God, I ask you to have mercy upon the people in our country who are scared now.
Trump signed executive actions just after his inauguration Monday, cracking down on immigration and declaring that there are only two genders, male and female. But he pointedly addressed those issues.
There are gay, lesbian, and transgender children in Democratic, Republican, and independent families. Some who fear for their lives.
Also afraid, Budde said, are those who pick crops and clean offices, who may not be citizens or have the proper documentation, but are not criminals.
They pay taxes and are good neighbors. They are faithful members of our churches and mosques, synagogues, Wadara, and temples.
During Trump's first term in office, Budde took him to task on a number of occasions, including when he stood outside an Episcopal church near the White House and held up a Bible after law enforcement used chemical agents to disperse racial justice protesters. Following the sermon at the National Cathedral Tuesday, Trump told reporters he didn't like the prayer service.
I didn't think it was a good service, no.
He added the cathedral could do much better. Republican U.S. Representative Mike Collins from Georgia posted on social media that the Episcopal bishop should, quote, be added to the deportation list. Jason DeRose, NPR News.
Wow. Wow. Oh.
So
Wow. Wow. Wow.
it seems that currently in our country, anything that we say that may object the ones who are politically in charge right now, we're going to be looked at, we're going to be demonized. Because I don't think there was anything wrong in what the bishop mentioned.
Nothing.
And then for, our current president, I gotta find the right words. Our current president does not like when anything is said against him. It doesn't matter what it is, and it doesn't matter who says it. So how are we to move forward? I just want to put that question out there. I yield.
There are multiple matches for the 7 principles of Jesus. And I'm bringing this in because the bishop is doing God's work. It is not our place to alienate anyone based on their sexual orientation, their religious beliefs, their socioeconomic standing, none of that. Color of their skin, none of that. It's not our place to condemn anyone. Jesus, and if you say you're a Christian, Jesus commanded us to love. And I know it's hard to love folks who look different from us, think different from us, behave different from us. But our task is to love, display tolerance, compassion. There are multiple matches for 7 principles of Jesus, including the 7 commands, the 7 principles of the kingdom of God, and the 7 principles of evangelism. So what are these 7 commands? Repent and follow Jesus, be baptized, pray, make disciples, love the Lord's Supper, and give. The 7 principles of the kingdom of God are mercy, increase, faith, authority, power, and unity. The 7 principles of evangelism are teach true worship, worship the right God, worship God in spirit and in truth, give God your all, your heart, your soul, and mind, worship with full transparency and honesty, worship with the power of the Spirit, worship in the powerful name of Jesus. Now, let us hone in on love, mercy. I rest my case. Be merciful unto others as the Lord your God is merciful unto you. Yeah. You don't have to like a person's lifestyle. You don't have to like a person's culture. You don't have to like how them look. You don't have to like them things there. But let us at least respect them. And respect is a form of love, if you ask me. And how can you say you love yourself, but you can't love your neighbor? Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. But you know what? Interesting days ahead is what I'll say. Interesting days ahead. Anybody has anything else to say before we move on? I want to say thank you to everyone. Go ahead, Adesoji. Go
No,
right
go.
ahead.
You were going to say something.
No, I was going to say thank you to everyone listening on QMZRadio.com, JanoRadio.com, MadMusicHouse.com. Thank you to everyone here with me on Fanbase, and a big thank you to everyone on YouTube Live. To watch the YouTube Live, I invite you to log on to www.coffeeinto.com. Go right ahead, Adesoji.
Okay, so yesterday I said day 3 of the madness. So on day 3 of the madness, I said something along the lines of the fact that him signing the executive order to ban birthright citizenship is a joke. I was listening to a couple of lawyers yesterday, constitutional lawyers, and they started laughing. Once that topic came up, the first thing they did was laugh. Like, you're essentially going to tear up the Constitution. It's enshrined again. It's enshrined in the 14th Amendment. All of that is just pontificating for pontificating's sake. On the issue of the stuff that happened in the Episcopal Church, this is one thing tyrants like. This idea of you begging them for mercy. You don't need to beg them. No, you don't. When that woman was doing it, I was like, why? Why are you doing it? First and foremost, you're in a church. The man doesn't even believe in God. All of that is performative. So the idea that you are going to appeal to, what are you appealing to? Because the body that comes in there is not even pure in itself. So you are appealing to something. It's a waste of time, a waste of effort. And they came out of church rather than say, oh, a reflective moment. You heard what they said. Put her on the deportation list. You're talking to deaf people. These people, all they know is power. They're going to exercise it for what it's worth. I mean, there was I was reading USA Today yesterday. I don't know why I'm so obsessed with the American.
I don't know.
But, for some reason, we just have to look out for you guys, It's like your eyes can be, first and foremost, everybody is now on tenterhooks because you don't know where ICE is coming. Imagine turning kids to start memorizing telephone numbers. I mean, what have we come to? What kind of society is that? Kids memorizing phone numbers in case mom and dad don't come back from work. I mean, that's wild. But going back to the USA Today piece, where he says there was an order that went out to all federal government agencies, FDA, all of them, literally do not post anything on social media. No health advisories should go out. To the point, there was one that it was even, there's a statistics of school gun violence. That website has been deleted. Yes, deleted. Federal government has been deleted. Not archived, deleted. So you're talking about, we're talking to people who don't have anything to offer you other than misery. This is not a government. This is it's hard to even find out what to call them. I yield.
Yeah, moments.
Yes,
So
go ahead, James. Go ahead. Thank you, Adesoji. Thank you.
Yeah, so my problem with all of this stuff that's going on now is the media, right? The media is at the center of feel about all of this, because of the media and how the media operate. Like, people outside of America, people in the Caribbean, in Africa, in other regions who have been victim to how the media reports stuff. Like when you're sitting down in Rwanda and you're seeing images of your country and you're looking and you're like, where's that? I don't know that place. Same thing in the Caribbean. We're used to this for decades now. But my problem now, when the media is kind of playing the same game in America.
Which says slavery shall be outlawed except in the case of you being one being what's it called? One being a prisoner. So yeah, that's it. Technically, it's never been legal on the U.S. Constitution. It's just that certain states, i.e., Texas, the Carolinas, Alabama, Mississippi. Alabama being the last, if I'm not mistaken, no, Mississippi being the last state to actually outlaw it outrightly in 1984, 84, 85, either one of those 2 dates, But yeah, it's never been legal. But so, I mean, it's there. You cannot, this is not even politics. This is law. If you tear up your constitution, you don't have a constitution, you don't have a country. That means there are no rules. This is not politics. And this doesn't even make sense. It doesn't. You could stand at the border and stop people from coming in, but you can't deprive people of basic decency, human decency. This is madness. And it's not even politics. It's got nothing to do with the media. I mean, he signed 100 executive orders. Should we rename Jamaica because the president of the United States is not comfortable with calling Jamaica? It's the Gulf of Mexico for a reason. It sits right next to Mexico. The Gulf of America. Oh my God.
We are back. We are back. Thank you so much. Go right ahead. Go right ahead. Go right ahead.
But when you have the government now being controlled by one party, even if you decide to sue or bring a case against it, do you really think you're going to win?
Well, clear question.
Mm-hmm. Good
so
question.
here is the answer to that question. It's in the rules. The rule says this. What you've written down in your executive orders runs counter to that. On the top of the Supreme Court, it says all is equal before the law. The role of the judiciary in the United States is to interpret that constitution. In some cases, it could read it word for word. In some cases, it can read, it could interpret it. But in some cases, it can also say, what was the reason why this rule was put here in the first place? In all of the three I've just mentioned now, that idea of removing it was never in the Constitution. To do so, you need 3/3 of the states to change that Constitution. 3/3 states. You need 3/3 of the House. You need 3/3 of the Senate. And then you might get to change the rules. But as it stands, that rule is dead on arrival. Whether you control that House, or you control the Senate, or you control the executive, that is not how constitutional amendments happen. Just by writing it on a piece of paper. No, that's not how it happens. You could choose that that's how it now happens, in which case you no longer have a country.
I will have to throw caution to that, just from the examples we've seen the past couple of months when it comes to women's rights. I yield.
No, the exception, hold on. The exception to that was Roe v. Wade was never codified. It was an understanding that it was a settled law. It was never part of the Constitution. And I'll give you evidence of this. Mm-hmm. If you go watch all the congressional hearings to confirm the Supreme Court judges, one of the questions, all of them, from Clarence Thomas, Roberts, Kagan, Sotomayor, they all have to answer. Amy Coney Barrett, Ketanji Brown Jackson, all of them had to answer one question. What is your views on Roe v. Wade? They all answer this line. They will say it is settled law. But because it was not part of the Constitution, they can throw it out. So that's the exception to that. I yield.
Well, the world is watching because several outlets online have expressed concern with the removal of the Constitution from the whitehouse.gov website. If you go there, you will see where it says 404 remote. So, however, it also says they're protecting the meaning and value of American citizenship. Now, there is one website. Let me just click on this one. USA Today. USA Today is saying that when President Donald Trump's team took over the White House website this week, it made quick work of taking down web pages that feature the country's founding documents and espoused the views of the previous administration. A silhouette of Trump faced America is back message appeared on the homepage. New links to presidential statements and remarks appeared along with the text of a mountain of newly signed executive orders. But what was missing from the revamped White House website was nearly as noticeable to frequent visitors. Pages explaining the Constitution and Bill of Rights, promoting tourism, equity, internships, and information about former American presidents of both political parties. Bio pages for presidents, Republican stalwarts Abraham Lincoln and Ronald Reagan turned up error messages, along with those of Democrats Jimmy Carter, Barack Obama, and Bill Clinton. Visitors to a Spanish language version of the White House site also received a 404 error that told them the page could not be found. What was interesting is what was there as a button was go home. The White House indicated the errors were unintended and temporary. It's day 2. We are in the process of developing, editing, and tweaking the White House website. As part of this ongoing work, some of the archived content on the website went dormant. We are committed to reloading that content in a short timeline. That's according to the principal White House Deputy Press Secretary Harrison Fields. The administration has asked for patience as it builds out the new White House website. We are also committed to bringing back online the Spanish translation section of the website. So have some patience and we will wait. I'm not sure if we're going to hold our breath, but we will wait for it to come up and let us see what's there. Let's see what comes up on the website when it's restored to normalcy.
There is an old saying. The people who are going to take power from you will not take it all overnight. They will take it and they will make it normal. And then you will accept it. Why would a government website go down and give you an error message? There's been change of guard before. Why now? No, I mean, it's serious.
Things for us to mull over, things for us to think about, and things that we can have conversations on. So we're going to take one more comment and then we're going to move on. Go right ahead, James. Go ahead.
So I asked myself.
Ja.
Yeah. So I asked myself that question, and what I found when I Googled it is each change of guard can change the website.
Okay. There we have it.
And I'll just leave that right there.
There we have it, right? So they're not doing anything wrong. They're not doing anything wrong. Let them do their thing.
Yes.
Yeah, Mama.
Hold on, Adesoji. Go ahead, James, and then Adesoji. Then I have to move on.
Yeah. What I think they're going to try and do, I think they're going to try and amend the Constitution, because if you look at, they said that there are 30 countries that offer birthright, but there are different variation of it. Like, for example, like Australia, Canada, like if one parent is like a citizen or a resident of like Canada or Australia, then the child is granted citizenship like instantly. But there are other areas that the child, if it's like the two parents are immigrants and they're not like say landed, as you'd say, there are situations where in Canada and in Australia they would not qualify for it. So I think that's what they're going to try and do the way like Australia and Canada and other countries do it. The 30 countries that have the birthright citizenship, they're probably going to amend to, because based on what I've heard, that America has the most, not loose, but the easiest birthright citizenship system in the world out of all the other countries. The 30 countries who offer it, America is just like, once you touch the soil and you're born, like you can get it. So I think that's what they're probably going to do.
Okay. All right. Thank you, James. All right. Let us keep it moving because we do have quite a few more stories. In our next article, we head on over to Jamaica for our next one. SBAJ president wants targeted interventions for MSMEs. This one courtesy of Nationwide Radio JM. President of the Small Business Association of Jamaica, SBAJ, Garnet Reed, is calling for more targeted interventions for local micro, Small and Medium-Sized Enterprises, MSMEs. Mr. Reid says a direct path away from high-interest loans and cumbersome paperwork is a good start. Mr. Reid referenced data from the Economic and Social Survey of Jamaica in 2023, which pointed to a promising increase in the sector. According to the data, sales from MSMEs rose by 1.2%, amounting to over $207 billion. Reid says while the figures show a resilient sector, more is required to guarantee sustainable growth. He applauded the Ministry of Industry, Investment and Commerce for the continuation of its island-wide roadshows, as well as funds to aid tax incentives and business development programs. However, the SBAJ president says the measures must go further to meet the day-to-day challenges faced by local MSMEs. Next up, CARICOM to send observers to Trinidad and Tobago's upcoming general elections. Interesting. For this one, we head over to CaribbeanNationalWeekly.com. The Caribbean Community Secretariat, based in Guyana, has accepted an invitation from the government of Trinidad and Tobago to send election observers for the country's upcoming general elections, which are expected to take place in August this year. The Secretary General of CARICOM, Dr. Carla Barnett, has accepted the invitation extended to the CARICOM Secretariat to the Honorable Keith Rowley, Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago, to deploy an election observation mission to oversee this year's general elections. That's according to Trinidad and Tobago, the Prime Minister in a statement. It said that Rowley had promised to invite a CARICOM delegation to observe the poll whenever it was called. The OPM said that the correspondence was sent to the CARICOM on December 11, 2024, and that Barnett, in a January 13, 2025 letter, accepted the invitation. So we want to make sure we have everything is smooth running over there. All right, next up, we're going down in our coffee pot for entertainment news out of the Caribbean corner. New York honors Rita Marley's legacy in reggae and culture. This one courtesy of Mr. President. Thank you for sending this one over. Appreciate it. And we have quite a few stories today, courtesy of Mr. President. He was doing his homework. Sending me over some good articles. So thanks a lot, Mr. President. Let me just go ahead and say that in advance. All right. So in this one, let me close this out. All right. According to the CaribbeanCamera.com, the Consulate General of Jamaica in New York recently held an event in honor of the legendary Rita Marley, offering guests a chance to immerse themselves in her remarkable life and legacy. The event, which spanned several days, celebrated Rita Marley's immense contribution to reggae music, her role in the I3s, and her continued influence on Jamaican culture. A lively atmosphere filled the consulate as attendees were treated to sorrel and ital delicacies and entertained by the sounds of Zion Marley and Tough Iron. Jamaican publicist Michaela Samuels described the event as an unforgettable experience, one that not only showcased Rita Marley's artistry, but also her deep connection to family, culture, and community. This was more than just an event. It was an emotional journey, Samuels explained, from the powerful storytelling to the beautiful visuals that captured Rita's life. It was clear how much she means to her family and the world. The exhibit featured excerpts from Rita Marley's books, displays of merchandise, and an evocative pathway adorned with artwork and photographs documenting her life journey. Highlights included intimate moments shared with her husband, reggae icon Bob Marley, and her time with the I3s. These visuals created an immersive experience for guests, allowing them to witness the evolution of Rita's legacy. The evening began with a heartfelt welcome by Renee Reynolds, the Vice Consul of Jamaica in New York, and it was followed by a poignant speech from curator Denisha Prendergast, who is Rita Marley's eldest granddaughter. Adding to the excitement, reggae star Taros Riley made a surprise appearance to show his support for Rita Marley's enduring influence on reggae and culture. Reflecting on the evening, one guest remarked Rita Marley's grandchildren honored her in such a beautiful way. The event was nostalgic and heartfelt and reminded us all of how much she, yes, Rita Marley, has contributed to reggae music and to Jamaican heritage. Thank you so much for sending this one over again, Mr. President. Anyone care to speak on this article?
Yeah, that's a good look. You know, my stance already, like she's not credited enough in my eyes. Like, it's unfortunate that we wait until people die to do things for them, but the Jamaican government and feel like she's not received like not even quarter or what she could have received already. And I don't know if you ever meet her, but trust me, like if you meet her, it's like being in her presence is just like it. I can't explain the feeling, but she's like a mother to everybody. That's how she is. And when you go to like Tough Gang, because people don't realize she is pretty much Bob Marley's career, right? Because when Bob Marley died, Bob Marley did not achieve not even a quarter of what we know Bob Marley as today. Bob Marley wasn't this multi-millionaire. The legacy, his legacy was just beginning when he died, and she and Chris Blackwell is responsible for the legacy that we know of Bob Marley today. And we have seen other artists that don't have a Rita Marley. We have seen Dennis Brown, we have seen Gregory Isaac, who are like, these guys are giants, but they didn't have a Rita Marley beside them. So she deserves a lot of credit. And for what she did with Tough Gang, because a lot of people come out of Tough Gang, a lot of great artists. That album, the greatest album of all time, came out of Tough Gang, was mixed in Tough Gang. The Miseducation of Lauryn Hill, to me, that's one of the greatest body. I don't care about Beyonce. I don't care about who. That album to me is the best.
I hope you're all able to hear me. I got kicked out.
Yes, we can hear you.
All right, thank you. So I missed some of what you said, James, but yes, we are indeed elated to see her getting the recognition because she's instrumental when we talk about the legacy of Bob Marley. Yeah. She pivoted, the art of pivoting. She definitely put that on display. All right, so now it's time for our little segment within the Caribbean corner. Come from a veranda, make we talk. This one was sent over this article that we're going to talk about over to us by Mr. President, and we thank you for this one. So we have about 10, let me see, about 10 minutes to spare on this one. Jamaica's poverty roller coaster. Harnessing data to break the cycle. And we can find this article on world.org. Jamaica's poverty journey is a story of highs and lows, a persistent roller coaster ride that reflects the country's vulnerability to economic shocks. Over the past decades, the country has achieved moments of significant poverty reduction, only to see these gains erased by crises like the financial crisis and the COVID-19 pandemic. To help Jamaica address its persistent poverty challenges and develop more effective, targeted policies, the World Bank recently conducted a comprehensive Jamaica poverty assessment. This report provides an in-depth analysis of poverty and inequality trends and the underlying factors contributing to economic vulnerability. It also showcases the value of the Jamaican Survey of Living Conditions, the JSLC, which has consistently collected quantitative data on poverty and well-being for more than 3 decades. This marks a significant achievement in a sub-region, the Caribbean, where efforts to address key data gaps are growing. So let us talk about some key facts about poverty in Jamaica. Fact number one: poverty in Jamaica has fluctuated significantly over time. Jamaica's poverty rate has followed a roller coaster trajectory over the years, with periods of significant progress repeatedly undone by external shocks. After reaching a historic low of 9.9% in 2007, poverty more than doubled to 24.6% in 2013 following the global financial crisis. The rate fell again to 11% in 2019 as the economy recovered, only to spike back to an estimated 21% in 2020 due to the COVID-19 pandemic. By 2021, at an early stage of Jamaica's economic recovery, the poverty rate stood at 6.7%, underlining the challenge of sustaining progress. These dramatic ups and downs highlight the country's vulnerability to economic shocks. Fact number two: economic dependence on low productive sectors makes the economy and people vulnerable to shocks. Jamaica's economic activity is heavily concentrated in low productivity sectors like tourism and agriculture, making it highly vulnerable to external shocks. Tourism, a cornerstone of the economy, is particularly sensitive to global disruptions, while agriculture faces frequent climate related challenges. This reliance has limited economic diversification and sustained growth, with Jamaica's real GDP growing at an annual average of only 0.8% from 1990 to 2019, below the Latin America and Caribbean regional level or average of 2.7%. Fact number three: low quality jobs leave many Jamaicans vulnerable. Although job creation has helped reduce poverty in some periods, many of these jobs are insecure and concentrated in low productivity sectors like tourism and retail. Of job security leaves workers highly susceptible to economic downturns. During the COVID-19 pandemic, unemployment surged from 7.3% to 12.6% in just 6 months, exposing the fragility of many households' livelihoods. Number four: health progress is undermined by inequality. Jamaica has made strides in healthcare, with nearly all births attended by skilled professionals and vaccination programs reducing childhood mortality. However, the COVID-19 pandemic disrupted services, pushing vaccination rates below targets and widening socioeconomic gaps. Poor households face a double burden of malnutrition, where undernutrition and obesity coexist. Malnutrition is 3 times more common in low income households, leading to developmental delays and a higher risk of non communicable diseases, the leading cause of death in Jamaica. Fact number five: education gaps hold back opportunities. While nearly all Jamaican children have access to primary schooling, learning gaps remain. On average, students complete 11.4 years of schooling by age 18, but these are equivalent to only 7.1 years of effective learning, below regional averages. Only 38% of secondary students passed math exams in 2021, down from 47% in 2018. Low aspirations, value, and among girls, teenage pregnancy disproportionately affect rather education for students in households and those in rural areas, perpetuating inequality. So, do we have solutions for breaking the cycle? To break free from the cycle of vulnerability, Jamaica needs economic transformation to create productive jobs. Productive jobs that can lift people out of poverty sustainably. This means enhancing productivity in sectors where poorer workers are currently concentrated, including tourism and agriculture, while also bolstering formal job creation in sectors where productivity is already high. Providing the private sector with the regulatory and infrastructure it needs, while promoting the use of technology, innovation, and entrepreneurship can stimulate the creation of higher quality jobs. This, in turn, can ensure that the economy not only grows, but evolves in ways that provide long term stability for the workforce. And I'll stop right there. I'm going to pin the link for this article in Fanbase. Thank you for sending this one over, Mr. President. Since you sent it over, I don't know if you want to take the baton on this one and lead the way. If you're hearing me.
Yes, Moments. There's a lot to unpack in the report, and we all know the impact of poverty and stuff like that on any society or any country, right? But what jumped out to me most about the article, actually take a lot of the article work written by the World Bank, the IMF, and these institutions with a pinch of salt. But what really jumped out of the article to me was the level at which Jamaica is falling behind the original numbers. Not necessarily anything else, the education numbers and stuff. How is it that Jamaica, which was once a top performer, could now be so far below the original average? And that's average. We're not even talking about the best performing regional schools or countries and so. We're looking at the averages. And in many instances, as they quote there, Jamaica is below that average. What has changed? The Jamaica's education system, from my understanding, have not changed. So what has changed in the implementation of that education system, education in Jamaica, that could have caused them to fall so much below? And I know poverty plays a role, but even if you're looking at GDP and all the international metrics, Jamaica is not far behind anybody in the region when it comes to stuff like that. It could be the disparity between the haves and the have-not, which I think may have a bigger gap in Jamaica than some of the other countries, because Jamaica seems to have a smaller middle class. Excuse me, but outside of that, there is something fundamentally missing here. These numbers, the maths is not mathsing. Thank you.
It's a little concerning, Mr. President, because I think it was yesterday we had the article with the Dr. Mars. Correct me if I'm wrong. I'm trying to go back to it. Where we listened to her and we expressed concerns. Yes, it was the 21st, no so? Yeah. Okay, where is it? Yes. Dr. Dixon, sorry, wrong name I quoted. Dr. Dixon said no child will leave school innumerate and illiterate. Let us revisit this and let's listen to her in this one.
While giving her views on the state of education, Minister Morris Dixon highlighted numerous areas she believes are in need of improvement. She started with early childhood. Minister Morris Dixon says no child should exit the early childhood phase of their school journey illiterate or innumerate. She says these skills are the bare minimum necessary in order to matriculate into higher education.
The foundation is absolutely key, and we can't forget about early childhood education. You have to start at the beginning, and that's why so much a key pillar, as the PS pointed out, was early childhood education, because that's where it's important. The start is absolutely critical, and as we go through our schools, we have to commit that we're not going to send any child out who is not numerate and literate. That's a minimum thing that as a country we have to say. We cannot be sending out children who do not have those basic skills. If we continue to do it, we have failed them and continuing to fail them. And I don't think any of us want to be failing our children.
The minister says the poor mathematics grades revealed in last year's sitting of CXCs shows that Jamaica has failed its youth. Dr. Morris Dixon says all Jamaicans must play their part in helping improve education across the country.
Education is not just about the Ministry of Education. It is about every single person. And when we saw those results last year that all of Jamaica was very much upset about, the CXC results, we had to ask ourselves, how did we let this happen? It's not just the ministry. The ministry has a big role to play, but it is all of us as Jamaicans that allowed our schools and our children in this way. The data has been there for a long time showing that the outcomes are not what we want. And have we done what we needed to do? We have not done it as a country. Everybody has a role to play in the transformation. And so I am very glad to have heard the PS and the chair speaking to that, because it is an all of country effort that we are having right now.
The education minister echoed the call of the chairman of the Education Transformation Oversight Committee, Dr. Adrian Stokes, for greater accountability among teachers in education. She says more groups, including the ministry itself and parents, must take responsibility in order for the sector to improve.
Everything that we're doing is going to go to naught if we do not have accountability throughout the system. At the ministry, in our schools, our boards, it cannot all be the ministry didn't. We have regions, we have board chairs. The board chairs set policies in the schools with the principal and the leadership of the school. And so everybody has to play their role. It doesn't rest just in the ministry, it rests all across the system. And our parents too. If you have your children telling you that their teachers aren't showing up, you need to tell us at the ministry. We have to hold the entire system accountability and hold me accountable too. It's from me right down. All of us have to be held accountable.
Mahiri Stewart, Wide News.
So do we remember that one from yesterday? Go right ahead, Mr. President.
It's even worse. You to tell you when teachers not showing up. You don't have a system in place for that?
I would think that the principal would know, no?
We have people who is going through primary education and making it through the entire system illiterate. How is that possible? She's saying they were surprised with the CXC results. I was not. And I'm not a Jamaican. I remember Damian Crawford presenting to Parliament and highlighting all the numbers and appealing to them to make sure that they change these things or they put things in place to address it. So when I heard the CXC result, I was not surprised, because not too long before that, Mr. Crawford broke down everything. And yes, he may be in opposition, but he was dealing with the numbers. So I don't understand why you're not so surprised and why we're telling people to tell you when teachers not show up and all this stuff. It's madness. Jamaica do not have a bad education framework. Jamaica has an education framework that is comparable to any Caribbean island. They have been performing good prior to now. What is going wrong and why aren't being fixed? That's the question I want to know. It's not you have a country full of dunce people, or you're just coming out in this, your education system is so far back and it has to catch up. No, you already had a functioning education system that was producing good results by all metrics.
Yeah.
What happened now?
Anybody else has any thoughts on this article?
Yeah. So I don't know. For some reason, the numbers are not making sense, because it depends on where the number is coming from. They're different. Because remember, I tell you, I was doing some research, and Jamaica is number 6 in terms of literacy rate in the Caribbean. And they said it was like they scored like 88%, like the last data that was taken from 2022. So I don't know if it's a fall off since 2022. And another thing too, I think when you look at the budget, like education have one of the biggest budget. So is it a case like where those money going missing with the government? Do we need to audit the education system too? Is it that there's money being put in the system and it's going missing too, or it's not spent in the right way? Because when you look at the budget, like education, a huge chunk goes to education. So maybe they need to think about auditing that system to, take stock of the teachers and what is going on in the system.
One would think that, thank you, James, for that. One would think that the principal of every institution would be on top of attendance of teachers. And it is their responsibility, not the responsibility of the parents. Quite frankly, it is the responsibility of the principal or the administrative staff to keep tabs on the presence of the teachers in the classroom. If a teacher is on leave, because yes, teachers do go on leave for a term, and depending on how long they have been teaching and how long they have gone without having taken any leave, sometimes a teacher can be on leave for two terms, right? There are 3 terms in the school year in Jamaica. So if a teacher is absent and is going to be absent for a term or 2, there is a replacement. So it's not as though a child should be sitting in a classroom or children should be sitting in classrooms not learning. There is someone to cover the time. So now you're asking parents to do the job of the administrative staff. Jack, go ahead.
No, I said what I had to say when we spoke about it. I don't have anything else to say. What the gentleman just said is absolutely correct. Yeah, leave it right there.
Yeah, we leave it right there. All right, let me just catch my breath before we move on to the. Any other comments on this one before we move forward? Because it's coming up to the bottom of the hour. Time for us to head on to the rest of our stories. Any other comments? All right, let's catch our breath for a second. I'm going to take a quick break. YouTube Live. We'll be right back with you. Coffee and Toe is brought to you in part by Lormel Skin Food. Log on to lormelskinfood.com. Discover the range of natural skincare solutions. Indulge in the radiance of natural and organic beauty with the best natural and organic soap bars, whipped soaps, body butters, and oils. All 100% natural products. Lormel Skin Food for a natural, beautiful you. The world's best coffee from our farms to your cup. It's Grand Coffee House. And we're back with you, YouTube. It is now time for stories out of Latin America. First up, Argentina marks record trade surplus at nearly $19 billion in Milei's first year as president. Let me go ahead and link this one on hold on, which segment was we on? International? No, last not this, yes. Stories out of Latin America. All right. So let's jump into this one. Thank you, Mr. President. According to tbsnews.net, Argentina posted a record $18.9 billion trade surplus for 2024. This is according to official data released on Monday that largely coincides with Libertarian President Javier Milei's first full year on the job. Last year's trade surplus exceeds the previous annual record of $16.89 billion set in 2009 and came in at the upper end of the forecast from analysts polled by Reuters, who expected a figure between 18 billion and 19 billion. December's trade balance featured a $1.67 billion surplus, marking 13 consecutive months that the value of exports exceeded the value of imports. The December data was also well above the $921 million surplus forecast in a Reuters poll. Since he took office in late 2023, Milei has bet on boosting grains and energy exports, along with slashing public spending, in a bid to tame runaway inflation in South America's second biggest economy. The far-right economist and one-time political outsider aims to make Argentina a net energy exporter, powered by its vast shale oil and gas reserves, while also easing currency controls to boost other exports, including from the country's major grains sector. The value of last year's exports stood at nearly $80 billion, led by farming and ranching, while imports totaled almost $61 billion. And this is according to data from the government's official statistics office. Neighboring Brazil was the main destination for Argentina's exports last year, accounting for 17% of the total, followed by buyers in the United States and Chile. Hold on a second. As I'm reading, and I know I sound a little disconnected because as I'm reading this article, hold on a second. Was it last year we had an article about
Okay, Argentina.
Yeah.
Yeah, hoping to align themselves with the US dollar. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Anybody thoughts? Something I don't know. You see, it's so important to really get your info from different media outlets. You can't rely on one, right?
Yes.
And we already know the reason why, right?
Hopefully that's the case.
I find this interesting because one would be led based on other articles that we have read in the past. One would be led to believe that the economy not so good. But go ahead. I think someone else opened their mic. Go ahead, James.
Yeah, but remember we spoke about it last year too, where they had to, I think China had to buy up some of their debt, so they were in recovery mode, right? And I think we covered it last year about China. China stepping in and buying up some of their debt. So I guess it's just a fast recovery, but yeah, they haven't been doing well for a while. And I know someone that's from there, and he said, yeah, like they have been struggling for a while.
Mm-hmm.
And this new guy, because he's very, in terms of conservative in spending, like he came and started slashing a lot of stuff, overspending. So yeah, I guess it's just a speedy recovery, but for them to have like a surplus, that's like crazy. Like not many country can say that, and a surplus in terms of export. No, that's good.
So I went on Google and I typed in, did China buy Argentina's debt? And the answer, according to Google, is no. China did not buy Argentina's debt, but it did provide Argentina with funds to help repay its debt to the International Monetary Fund.
Yeah, that was what we covered. Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
Sorry, James, go ahead.
No, I was saying that we covered. It was some article because we spoke about it last year with the IMF and China stepping in, and the new president and what he was doing, his relationship with China, and I think we were talking about it in relation with moving away from the IMF, like another country moving away from the IMF.
Yeah, it was when the idea of them joining BRICS came up.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. China offered them that outlet as against the IMF. It was the IMF loan they held, and eyebrows were raised in the usual places as to what is going on here. What are the Chinese sniffing around in our backyard?
Yeah, so what happened there is that the IMF debt was strangling Argentina outside of them not performing good for a number of years. And the austerity measures that came with some of the debts made it even worse. So China came in and essentially allowed Argentina to pay out the IMF, or pay out most of the debts with the IMF, and refinance them or finance them on more favorable terms. But why the article surprised me is that it's one thing to recover, it's another thing to have a surplus.
Mm-hmm.
And if they had a surplus, my question is, who is taking all these goods out of their hand? because it means they're exporting much more than they're importing. So it will be interesting to dive down into the numbers to see what's going on. And without knowing the details, I would presume that with China being a major player now, that they probably took a lot of stuff off of Argentina hand, so it was a win-win in any case for both China and Argentina. But either way, having a surplus in trade is great for any country, and we applaud Argentina for that recovery. As Jem said, the new president in charge had some controversial moments, but it seemed to be moving in the right direction. So let's just hope they keep it up.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. President. Per the article, it says here that Brazil was the main destination for Argentina's exports last year, accounting for 17% of the total, followed by the United States and Chile. So we need to, I guess we want to know where the other slices of the pie. Yeah.
That would probably explain with the freeing up of capacity and probably better financing of production, and so with the IMF noose loosened around your neck, that would have helped them. Remember, Brazil is a big destination when it comes to trade because they export a lot. Who know if they're doing like India and recycling some stuff out of Argentina to export to help them also. But Brazil itself is a very big market and is a very big player on the world market when it comes to trade.
Right.
So that's good in any case, and it's good to see that there is increased trading amongst the South American countries and so on. That's good.
Yes, definitely. All right, thank you so much for that article again, Mr. President. Next up, Trump revokes Biden's decision to remove Cuba from state sponsors of terrorism list. And when I saw this article yesterday, I immediately thought about Dre, because I remember Dre's comments regarding, the article we had prior to President Biden stepping away when he signed off, and we were like, oh, and Dre was not impressed with it, because why celebrate something that's going to be revoked in essence? So the next, yeah. So this article comes to us courtesy of CaribbeanNationalWeekly.com.
Did you give a reason?
So let's get into the article. According to CaribbeanNationalWeekly.com, in a swift policy reversal, newly sworn in President Donald Trump on Monday rescinded the Biden administration's move to remove Cuba from the U.S. list of state sponsors of terrorism. The White House had the decision just hours after Trump's inauguration to a second term. The action overturns a January 14 order by then President Joe Biden, which had sought to lift the communist-ruled island's designation as a terrorism sponsor. Trump signed a rescission to block the measure, marking one of several rollbacks to Biden-era policies deemed harmful by the new administration. The decision keeps Cuba on the list, a designation originally reinstated by Trump during his first term in 2021. Biden's announcement last week, which included Cuba's agreement to release over 500 prisoners, was intended to ease Trump-era sanctions and re-establish diplomatic progress. Cuban President Miguel Diaz-Canel condemned Trump's action, calling it an act of mockery and abuse in a social media statement. Cuba has consistently denied supporting terrorism and had begun releasing prisoners as part of a broader Vatican-mediated plan. Trump's move raises questions about whether those releases will continue. Remaining on the terrorism list imposes stringent sanctions on Cuba, exasperating the island's ongoing economic crisis. Biden's policy had also aimed at other restrictions, including a 2017 Trump order limiting financial transactions with Cuban military-linked entities. Additionally, Biden sought to halt lawsuits under the Helms-Burton Act, which allows claims against Cuban and foreign companies for property seized after Fidel Castro's 1959 revolution. Well, Trump's stance on Cuba, a centerpiece of his first term, included reversing Obama-era efforts to normalize relations with Havana. His administration argued the measures were necessary to combat alleged human rights abuses and support for terrorism, charges that Cuba denies.
I mean, this is expected moments, but what important and critical here that may be passed below the radar is Cuba now accepted as a partner. They're not a member, but they have a collaboration with BRICS, right?
Mm-hmm.
They have been added. So now Cuba, through BRICS countries, will have more access to different markets outside of just the Russia and the China. How strong. What I would like to see is the Caribbean unilaterally making a decision as a region to trade openly with Cuba, because they were the ones that I think they wrote to Joe Biden, if I'm correct, to request the ease of the sanctions to Cuba, because Cuba has a very good relationship with its Caribbean neighbors. I think it's time we said, to hell with the U.S., let us do business, and every one of us do business with Cuba. And let's see if the U.S. would sanction every Caribbean island. Sometimes we have to use our grouping and our power.
Let us see. Here's my thing, and I don't know if it's something I should be concerned with, but I don't truly understand how government works in the U.S., how things really work up there in Washington, more specifically the role of a president, right? Why didn't Biden do this when he got in office? At least there would have been a 4-year break, so to speak, right? Because we know that once the Republicans regain control of everything, this was going to happen. Why didn't he? They say at the same time them say no use crying over spilt milk, but I want to gain an understanding as to why they weren't removed from the terrorist list. Why is it that sanctions weren't eased? Why weren't they given the break, at least a 4-year break, when Biden went in? Shouldn't that have been something he did immediately, considering that when President Trump went in 2016, he immediately, not immediately, let me not.
So he's probably deliberately did it because he had no intention of easing the embargo and stuff on Cuba, right? If you had no intention of doing it, you do it as soon as you're going with an executive order, that could be rescinded. All right. But you go on record as doing it.
Yeah.
So it's a pro for you, but it has no effect. Even if you look at some of Biden didn't do much executive order. He come trying to pass a lot of stuff across the aisle, which he wouldn't pass. And he could have done some of those stuff at the beginning of his tenure. Look at when Trump come in power. Yeah, litany of executive orders automatically. So maybe he didn't have no intention of doing it.
Question, Mr. President. Who drafts the executive orders?
Like mostly everything with the president, they have a team of people, lawyers, and I think there is a way they go to the recommendations and so on. Yeah, go ahead, Adesoji.
Yeah, White House Counsel, Chief of Staff. Who else is there? The speechwriter, because they have to, cross all their T's and dot their I's. But sometimes, because it is often led by by the motivation, their political motivation, a White House lawyer tends to, their White House lawyer comes with them, tends to agree with what they're saying rather than what you actually believe. So that's why you see with the Republicans, they have all of this anachronistic type executive orders that would end up being rescinded because they know. Look like the no flight ban, for a Muslim ban, he was rescinded. I mean, all these things are playing to the guy.
All right. Thank you, Adesoji. Next up, time for stories on the international scene. First up, scores of Afghans have left for the US after their visas were processed in the Philippines. Story of Mr. President. And this is an interesting one. Let's go ahead and get into it. According to apnews.com, nearly 200 Afghan nationals have been flown on to the United States after their visas were processed in the Philippines as part of an agreement between Manila and Washington, the U.S. Embassy in Manila said on Sunday. The Afghans left the Philippines in several groups on commercial flights last week after completing their application process for resettlement in the U.S., according to the embassy spokesperson. An embassy statement expressed deep appreciation to the government of the Philippines for their cooperation and support for U.S. efforts to assist Afghan special immigrants. The Afghans, including many children, arrived in the Philippines on January 6. Details of their numbers and location are secret by U.S. and Philippine officials. Washington covered the cost of their stay in the Philippines. The Afghans primarily worked for the U.S. government in Afghanistan or were deemed eligible for U.S. special immigrant visas, but were left behind when U.S. and NATO forces withdrew from Afghanistan after 20 years of war, and that ended in August 2021 as the Taliban seized power. At the time, the Taliban takeover exposed Afghan supporters of U.S. forces to potential retaliatory attacks by Afghanistan's new rulers. Outgoing President Joe Biden and President elect Donald Trump have blamed one another for the chaotic pullout of U.S. forces. All right, Adesoji, I see your emoji.
No, I'm laughing because you emphasize the 20-year rule. The United States goes everywhere and fights for 20 years, then leave. And then the propaganda then starts. Oh, we helped do this, we helped do that. Some of those adventures were totally unnecessary. I mean, I was watching one stuff on the Vietnam War yesterday. The only reason they went into the Vietnam War because the French were taking a beating. And they ended up getting the beating instead. It's the same thing. I mean, but yeah, back to the story itself. Do they know that MAGA Nation is a...
That's why I was tickled. Yeah, it's interesting to see how this is going to roll out, how this is going to play out. I mean, they're here now. What's going to happen?
Are they here or on their way here?
No. According to the article,
they're on flight.
They have been flown, so meaning they're already here. This article is as at January 18th, so they are already here.
So yeah, it doesn't take 2 days to travel. Yeah, they're already here. So good luck to you guys. Hello, America.
Are they going to have the protection that was promised to them because they worked with the U.S. government while in Afghanistan? These Afghans, they worked primarily for the U.S. government. Will that make a difference?
Well, the states will have to take care of itself because when you to throw them back out, it makes mockery of the entire thing. But the downside of the entire facade, yeah, because it is a facade, is the Trump government cannot be seen next to them. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. The optics doesn't look aha. But at the same time, you can't throw back to the wolves. So what are you gonna do? If I were some kind of blogger, I was gonna take a picture of them and I'll say, what happened to? I thought the border was shut. Why are they here?
So, in case we're wondering what an SIV is, which is Special Immigrant Visa, Special Immigrant Visas are a program that allows certain foreign nationals to resettle and become citizens in the United States. SIVs are available to people who have worked for the U.S. government abroad or who have worked with the U.S. military in dangerous circumstances. So let us hope that they will be able to remain, that it will not be reversed or revoked or anything like that. And the reason I'm saying that, Adesoji, I'm thinking about TPS, right? Where I think that is up on the chopping block, no?
Yeah, yes, it is. And I just wanted to ask, since we're what do you think my chances are?
Let's not go down that road. We won't even go down that road. Not at all, not at all, not at all. All right.
So you are saying the complexion, I don't have protection for the complexion?
You're gonna make sure. I'm gonna have no one headache. All right, let's keep it moving. Next up. Our next article, IMF tells Ethiopia to phase out credit cap and fuel subsidy. Thank you, Mr. President. According to BIRRmetrics.com, the International Monetary Fund recommended Ethiopia carefully unwind lending restrictions and eliminate fuel subsidies as it approved a 248 million US dollar disbursement to the East African nation. The reforms as Ethiopia implements its 3.3 billion US dollar package, with the IMF noting strong progress in addressing macroeconomic imbalances. The country's parallel market premium has stabilized in single digits with rising FX supply. That's according to the IMF Deputy Managing Director, Nigel Clark. Oh, who is Nigel Clark again? Remind us. Anybody remember who Nigel Clark is? Isn't it supposed to be Dr. Nigel Clark? Huh. How quickly you forget about Mr. Clark? How no come, sir?
Who is Mr. Clark? Rings
dear finance minister.
Oh, him.
Elevated, yes.
Oh, okay.
Oh, that's so cheap. Back of the class for you. Back of the class for you. Come on now. Oh, so nice to see the name in the article. Yeah. According to the IMF Deputy Managing Director, Nigel Clark, after completing a second review, the authorities should carefully sequence removal of the credit growth cap along with policy rate changes and clearly communicate policy intentions, Clark said. He called for close supervision and enforcement of net open position regulations for banks to address financial vulnerabilities. On fuel pricing, the IMF emphasized that bringing fuel prices to full cost recovery is important for mobilizing revenues and rebuilding fiscal buffers. While praising Ethiopia's supplementary budget approved in November 2024, the fund pressed authorities to expedite efforts to expand the targeted social safety net to protect vulnerable households. The IMF noted substantial progress toward a debt treatment agreement with official creditors under the G20 Common Framework. Ethiopian officials are working to secure a memorandum of understanding by the third review while advancing talks with Eurobond holders and commercial creditors. But don't say anything yet. There is another article. Ethiopia's debt reaches $68.86 billion. What's next? Let me go ahead and pin the link here on YouTube so that we can. Okay, here we go. So this article reads, and you can find it on Addis Insight, ADDISinsight.net. So Ethiopia's public debt has reached a total of $68.86 billion by June 2024, according to the Ministry of Finance's recently released Public Sector Debt Portfolio Analysis number 25. This figure represents 32.9% of the nation's GDP, marking a decline from 57.2% in 2019. signaling progress in managing debt levels. However, the report highlights ongoing challenges that demand careful attention as Ethiopia balances its development goals with fiscal sustainability. Shifts in debt composition. The composition of Ethiopia's debt has shifted significantly over the last 5 years. Domestic debt has grown by 51.9%, driven by the government's increased reliance on treasury bills, long term bonds, and advances from the National Bank of Ethiopia. As a result, domestic debt now accounts for 57.7% of the total, up from 47.7% in 2019 2020. In contrast, external debt growth has slowed, with a current total of $28.89 billion, reflecting a deliberate pivot toward concessional borrowing. Multilateral creditors such as the World Bank and IMF now hold 54% of Ethiopia's external debt stock, providing funds on favorable terms. Meanwhile, borrowing from bilateral sources, especially non concessional loans from Chinese policy banks, has declined due to Ethiopia's non concessional borrowing policy for state owned enterprises. Interesting. All right. Ethiopia, take it away. So,
Okay.
yeah, go ahead. Going back, you want to go back to the first article, or you just want to merge the two and talk about them?
No,
I'm pulling up something on.
I'll make the two. The two is pretty straightforward. The former finance minister of Jamaica is now a water carrier for the West, and so truth be told, he's doing what he's supposed to do. He's advising Ethiopia to lower the credit ceiling so that a foreign investment can come in. And when foreign investment come in, usually what they do to go for is the public sector. So essentially, the public sector is there as guardrail so that the less in society are protected. The reason I say that is Ethiopia is actually on record as being one that has stood up to the IMF when this guy was in power, the late president, Meles Zenawi. And he told them at that time that he actually asked He asked the World Bank guy who was stationed in Ethiopia at the time, you want me to do what exactly? Leave all the economics language out of it. What are you asking me to do? And that one got the message. Because essentially what you're asking me to do is sell my country to you. And this is what they do. So when the gentleman who left Jamaica decided to go and pitch tents with his new employers, he knew what he was signing up for. So, but hey, he's got a job to do. I mean, there's a job, somebody has to do it. Unfortunately, here you are, a Jamaican, going after Rastafarian country. And hey, we're going to see what comes out of it anyway. See you.
Adesoji, I think it's an interesting dynamics. I mean, I know the debt to China has reduced, but with Ethiopia being a member of BRICS now and have access to bigger markets, and so it will be interesting to see how that play out. What I think is really good is that the debt finance is shifted more domestically. With domestic debt, they have a lot more control and leverage over how it is handled, as opposed to the foreign debts, especially because the foreign debts are usually in US dollars, which would have to gain to pay the interest on their loans and stuff like that. Interesting to see how that play out. But in recent years, you see a lot of development happening in Ethiopia. If you look at the projection of Ethiopia right now as one of the biggest markets out there in East Africa, it's like it will be very massive in the near future. So this is one to keep an eye on.
Yeah, especially the oncoming the coming on stream of the dam is going to create so much power within that neighborhood that industrialization is going to be, and like you said, the Chinese are already in there. So they might set up industries and what have you. So that is going to bode well. So I suppose what the World Bank is trying to do is get in there before that development starts so that they can then start poking around. But if I were the Ethiopians, I would not heed what they're being advised at the moment. I mean, it's not even to their advantage. Why would they do such a thing? Remove subsidy. For who? Your country have subsidies. Why should we remove ours? Come on.
But also, when you look at it, also the dream coming with the dream coming on stream, you're looking at cheaper, not just cheaper power and stuff like that. You're looking at you're not buying as much fossil fuel and so your imports of oil and so would go down, and with that going down, it's good for your balance of payment and so on, and your foreign exchange reserves. You will keep a lot of those money was taken to buy or fuel the country. So it's a huge, it will change every dynamic of the metrics once the dam is on stream.
All right. Thank you. Thank you, gentlemen, for carrying the conversation. I had to step away briefly. All right. So I did pull up on Google Ethiopia. I hope you hear me. All right. Yeah. I did pull up on Google Ethiopia. For those who don't know, if anyone listening online, Ethiopia, the capital Addis Ababa. It's in the Horn of Africa. It is a landlocked country.
Ababa.
Yeah. All right. So my cousin who lives in Australia, he went touring through Africa and he put up some beautiful pictures, absolutely beautiful pictures of Ethiopia. Yeah, the Ethiopia they don't show you, right? And I think I've said this here before. We remember the images that they show us of Ethiopia, don't we? Yes, we do. We remember. But
the image you should see.
What you say? Say that again?
I said, that's the image you should see. Because if you are to see something else, you might get in ideas.
And the Ethiopia we tend to think about is the Ethiopia or the Ethiopia that has been embedded in our minds. The vision is from the song that was done by Michael Jackson and all those artists led by Quincy Jones.
The famine 1984.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. No, folks. Let us not, in the words of Mr. President, charity porn. Yeah. They want you to think that any country that is filled with people of color, that is the state of the country. Great marketing. What can I say?
Ethiopia is also unique in that they have their own calendar. So they don't follow the Gregorian calendar. Addis Ababa actually means beautiful flower in Arabic.
All right. So, is Kush the other name for it? Back in the day name for it? Is there some? Okay. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. It's supposed to be the land of Queen Sheba.
All right, next up on the international scene, it is 4 minutes after the top of the hour. Ghana delayed delivery 370,000 tons of cocoa in the 2023-24 season. That's according to us. What? Did we have a chocolate shortage in Switzerland and Belgium?
No. Our sweet palates are still being taken care of.
Oh yeah, I forgot y'all have your own cocoa trees up there in Switzerland and in Belgium, right? Yeah.
Yes, we.
So, according to this article, which can be found on MSN.com, thank you, Mr. President, Ghana has delayed the delivery of 370,000 metric tons of cocoa in the 2023-24 season due to poor output. That's according to its food and agribusiness minister designate when speaking with Parliament on Monday, up from 350,000 tons previously reported by Reuters. The unprecedented move to delay delivery from the previous 2023-24 season to the ongoing season follows a sharp drop in production from, to a 2-decade low. Reuters reported in June that Ghana, the world's #2 cocoa producer, was looking to delay the delivery of up to 350,000 tons of cocoa beans to the following season due to poor cocoa production in the West African country peaked in 2021 with output of over 1 million tons of beans, but it has been in a rapid decline ever since, hitting its lowest level in decades last season. Let me stop right there. Mr. President, is this a story they're really going to give us? Or they want to tell us the truth? And the story I'm really, am I thinking
what
too
happened
much?
Is they're talking about production, but what they're leaving out is that China has now made a deal with both Ghana and the Ivory Coast to help them to process the cocoa within and sell it as a processed product as opposed to raw material. Now that affects Switzerland and all the so-called chocolate producing nations provide a scarcity because China is saying if we're giving you that, we want 40% coming to us, we will buy it at market price or we'll buy it from you. But then Ghana share of the cocoa, I think goes from about 6% to 20 something percent or so. When you look at the entire chain of all the people benefiting from cocoa and chocolate and everything like that. Now that is a big threat for them. And yes, the production may be done, but if that is happening, when you increase capacity, when you're doing some processing of your cocoa, what do you think would happen? The price of cocoa will go up, farmers will go back to their land, it will be feasible. Right now, you have people who is farming cocoa for decades and could barely eat. And these are the things they don't tell you about.
And we've had that conversation several times, right?
Yes, so I think it's great that it was done. Yes. Let the price go up. Sell the same amount and make more money. Yes.
So let me read the rest of the article. Shame on me. Let me go ahead and read the rest of the article. So, cocoa production. Okay, next one. Analysts say climate change and tree disease responsible, while many farmers also blame the government for failing to clamp down on wildcat gold mining that has destroyed large parts of the cocoa heartland. It is said that production fell to the lowest in 2 decades. 24 season, citing production figures of below 550,000 tons provided by the Cocoa Marketing Board. He said the poor cocoa output forced Cocoa Board to default on the repayment of an $800 loan secured from international lenders to finance cocoa purchases that season. Huh? Hold on a second. Who is Cocoa Board?
Okay, so
yeah, break it down there for me because I'm going on Google, but continue, Adesoji. Thank you.
It's oh god, it's
Ghana's Cocoa Board.
Yeah, what they tend to do is back in the day, the countries that have all those primary products economies will buy it off the farmer at a fixed price, so that it protects the farmer with fluctuation in prices. And so they would go and borrow money, buy it off these farmers, and then whatever money they make, they will pay off whoever they borrow the money from, and the system repeats itself every season. That, but again, you talked about the IMF earlier. One of the key things they do is when they come in, they look at those kinds of arrangements to protect the farmer. I mean, it's got two sides anyway. One, sometimes it protects the farmer in the sense that if say, for instance, the bag of cocoa is about $50 and it falls below $50. The farmer has bought the seeds, have paid his workers and everything. Yeah, that the bag of cocoa is $50, but then it drops to $25. That's, in African terms, that's economic suicide. But being pegged at 50, then he's sure that 50, whatever comes, he's gonna get 50. But the plus side is, situations like this happen, and one country is not able to meet its supply to the market, and the price shoots up. The farmer don't get the extra; they get their $50 because they're going to be paid whatever comes at $50. Do you see where the problem are? So, but in the time of economic downturn, that the government borrows, where is the government going to use? Where is the government going to get the money from to block the subsidy? Because essentially you're creating a subsidy market. Yeah, that's where so it's a plus and minus situation, but it's always a plus for the farmer, but a negative for the government.
By the way, welcome to our
Also, you
new
have to look at
subscribers
in
on
that
YouTube.
metrics.
Hold on one second, Mr. President. Just want to say thank you to our new subscribers on YouTube. Thank you for clicking the subscribe button, and we encourage you to engage with us. Let us know how you feel about any of the stories that you hear us discuss here on Coffee Into Live. Mr. President, right ahead.
An important pillar in the metrics that Adesoji explained also is that you have to realize the people you're taking a loan from, or the institutions you're taking a loan from, usually are the ones buying the cocoa, right? So they control the demand. So they could always manipulate the prices. So if you're taking a loan, I'm making money off you because I can manipulate the price and get the cocoa low. And I could still make interest on the money you borrow to subsidize your farmers. Is a win-win. So it's all this dynamics that is getting messed up. And I don't care about the default. Default, why not? You can't afford to pay. File bankruptcy on that. Move to China, move to other markets, do what you gotta do. But it's time that African countries take their resources back and stop giving it away for free.
Yeah, I think the part that is confusing for me, and I'm having a little difficulty comprehending, and that's why I said, who is COCOBOD? So COCOBOD is the Ghana Cocoa Board, and that's the Ghanaian government controlled. And that fixes the buying price for cocoa in Ghana, right? And farmers are protected from the volatile prices on the world market through the price fixing. So I find it a little confusing, and I'm having a little problem understanding why COCOBOD would default on a repayment of $800 million in a loan, and why did they take out that loan in place? Because you are the producer, so why I need a loan?
Okay, so
go on.
Yeah,
go on.
explain that to me.
The price of cocoa fluctuates with every shipment,
right,
based on demand and supply. Okay. Now, the cocoa board decide to give the farmer what you think is a reasonable. Sometimes they might get more for the cocoa. Sometimes they might get less for the cocoa. But the cocoa board don't have that money in reserve, so they take out a loan to make sure that when the farmers bring in the cocoa, they could get paid on the spot.
But now, hold on, stop right there. No, hold on, stop right there, Mr. President. Why them take out? This is the part I'm not understanding. Why them take out a loan? Me not understand right there. So what is the loan for?
They don't have any reserves. You're buying the cocoa before you sell it. So they're buying all this cocoa from the farmers before they sell it. they have them in warehouses. When they're supposed to recover the money and pay the loan.
Okay. All right.
But if you buy at a higher price and by the time you sell, the price is down, you're trying to keep the price to the farmer stable, but you don't know exactly what you're getting up front sometimes. So they take the loan and they're supposed to be able to service the loan when they sell the cocoa. But if you're taking a loss on a couple of shipments and it keep rolling over, after a while, you owe money that you can't pay.
So based on that explanation then, Mr. President, and tell me, I'm okay now with sounding like one ignoramus right about now. So, all right, I am the Ghana Cocoa Board, right? I have an agreement. If a part of the, hold on, let me go back here because it says farmers are protected from the volatile prices on the world market through price fixing. Okay. If I have an agreement with cocoa farmers that I am going to buy the cocoa from you at, let's say, $10 a pound, right? I'm just using these figures. I'm buying it from you at $10 a pound. When you produce it at $10 a pound, may I pay you? Now, let us say there is some reason, there's some impact, for example, a natural disaster that causes scarcity. Somewhere in that contract, I should have a clause that says I will pay up to $15 a pound in the event that there are certain things arising. Now, hold on, stay with me. So if I know that I am going to be doing that, what I'm sounding like is I'm a middleman between the producer and the buyer. Buyer being the international market.
Yes, but you're government middleman. And no, there is no caveat. In the point of the board being there is the price is fixed. There is no like we're gonna change midway into whatever kind of what's it called, environmental impact you have. The price is fixed. For this season, we're buying a bag of cocoa for $15. And $15 come what may is what we're gonna pay. So there are two ways to look at it. It protects the farmer, and it also protects, don't forget, the farmer has large farms and also has to employ people. And so the farmer knows that this year the price is going to be at so price. It's almost like budgeting. So you budget for what you think you're going to get in. And based on that budget is how you work. Budget fluctuation, you don't have that kind of leeway because of the kind of business you're in. For the government is also trying to protect the farmers. Now, some will argue that that is not the best way to protect them. And concede to that. The concession comes in, you don't process the stuff. If you process the stuff, then there will be no need for that protection. Because now what you're doing is, like you said, you're competing with markets because you're producing the same thing they're producing. So that level of competition is quite different. But because they can say, well, it's raw, I don't need to buy from you, I can go one person. Or you know what, I'll buy all of this season. And then next season, knowing fully well I've not used all my back stock, I can then say, nah, I'm only paying $5 for it. What can you can argue? You understand. So that's where the control board comes in, the cocoa board. That's where they come in to ensure that that does not happen to the farmers. Yeah.
All right. Thank you. So I hope everyone listening has a clear understanding of how it works and why they would need to take out a loan. In essence, it is to secure the country's position on the global market. When we talk about the trade of cocoa beans, you want to make sure that you are competitive, and the only way to be competitive or to remain a competitor is to have product on hand, right? So you buy it, you store it up, so that when there is a lull, so to speak, or a dry season, so to speak, and there is the demand, you can supply. right? So it is a part of risk that you have to take when we talk about business. Now, the world's top cocoa producers are Cote d'Ivoire, Ghana, Indonesia, Ecuador, Nigeria, Cameroon, Brazil, Sierra Leone, Peru, and the Dominican Republic. All right. So that summation I just provided, does that make sense? Adesoji, did I explain the reason why there would be the $800 million loan that's in place?
Yes. That covers all the bases. Yes.
Okay. All right.
And incidentally, you mentioned Indonesia. Indonesia actually started its cocoa farming off of the back of Nigeria in the 1960s. Yes.
Interesting. All right. Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you so much for that spirited conversation. Always learning, right? We have to have an open mind so we can gain understanding. And we might be here in the West and saying, okay, what does this have to do with us? It has to do with us because we consume a lot of chocolate in the West, right? And just a quick reminder, whenever you see something labeled Swiss chocolate, Switzerland does not grow chocolate. Okay? Whenever you see anything labeled Belgian chocolate, Belgium does not have not one cocoa tree. Okay? So let us know the source of our products.
The only exception is British tea is British.
And the British
grown
tea
in Kenya.
grown in
Kenya.
Fields of Kenya, or possibly China, right? In the remote parts of China. But yes, we don't do that. Just as Dubai is a city of gold, but then I have not one gold mine, I saw the thing going this thing called life. Understand it.
I will debate you on that,
Don't forget
but
Israel
we'll be
is a
here
city
all
of
day
diamond
long.
too. Sorry, Adesoji.
City of diamonds, huh? How you gonna debate that Adesoji? How you gonna debate that?
No, but don't worry. I'm willing to allow us to move on. Because, my position is justified, but in the interest of progress, I consider we go.
According to oilprice.com, Russia's Baltic oil shipments dropped 10% after it. No, lie, wrong one. Me pull up. Lord of mercy. This is the one I need to be reading first before we get over to that conversation. And I'm just going to run through both of them, and then we can debate it or talk about it. So first up, 2 billion barrel oil field discovered in central Iraq. Thank you, Mr. President. Article dated January 20 and can be found on IraqiNews.com. Following exploratory activities carried out in central Iraq by the Midland Oil Company MOC in collaboration with a Chinese corporation, an oil discovery was made in Iraq with reserves of around 2 billion barrels. The MOD said in a statement that it discovered a significant oil reservoir in the central part of the country on Monday. In response to orders from Iraqi oil minister to step up exploration, the country's most recent oil discovery was made in the southern East Baghdad field in collaboration with China-based EBS. Additionally, the finding fits with the state's plans to expand oil fields as part of the Prime Minister's government's strategy to increase the oil sector's production capacity. The director of MOD stated that the most recent oil discovery in Iraq followed the successful completion of the primary exploratory well testing activities in the East Baghdad field. The director of MOD, Mohammed Yassin Hassan, stated that the newest oil discovery in Iraq emerged after primary exploratory well testing operations took place in the East Baghdad field, which yielded remarkable results. The oil well's early testing revealed a daily output rate of up to 5,000 barrels. The new oil discovery is strategically significant as Iraq, in case you didn't know, is ranked 5th globally in terms of countries with confirmed oil reserves. So, on to the next article. Russia's Baltic oil shipments dropped 10% after EU sanctions. This one can be found on oilprice.com. Russia's oil shipments via the Baltic Sea declined 10% over the final 4 months of 2024 due to the impact of EU sanctions against Russian oil and gas exports. The Finnish border guard made that report. Finland's Coast Guard monitors the shadow fleet that Russia uses to export crude via the Gulf of Finland. In the last 4 or 5 months of last year, we saw a roughly 10% decline in the amount of oil leaving Russia. That is, of course, very good. But on the other hand, older vessels have been added to the traffic on the Baltic Sea at the same time. The vessels in operation are in worse condition than before, saying it's difficult to determine whether the decline will be temporary only. God. Okay, so why am I laughing? I laugh because sometimes, you have thoughts and you have to be careful how you express them. The shipments drop, but it don't mean that them don't have it stored up, and we don't know how else, I mean, Russia seems to be okay. Let me just put it that way. Russia seems to be doing just fine to me. I'll just say that.
I mean, 10% in the scheme of things is big, but you also said that there were older ships that was added to the fleet, which from the article seems like you don't have a good monitoring of these. So you technically cannot definitively say that the supply reduced. You're just saying from the ships you monitor, there has been reduced activity by 10%. Then you have to look at if you're looking at, well, that's from the Baltic Sea, but that doesn't mean the supply of Russian oil has reduced because India has gone up so much, China has gone up. You look at, I think, is not Malaysia, that new BRICS country is looking into buy more Russian oil and stuff like that. So, yeah, as to the Iraq thing, that means we have to look for another 20 years of instability in Iraq because they'll be fighting over this oil down there. So far, we have not found any weapon of mass destruction. And as one of the wealthiest countries in the world, when it comes to oil reserves, Iraq is struggling. The Iraqi people are suffering. And there is no need for these kind of things. It's ridiculous. But that big find makes Iraq even more volatile.
I'm glad you brought that up because that stood out to me as well. And so you can understand my concerns when we talk about the Essequibo region that is there's a dispute regarding that area, which is Guyana, 2/3 of Guyana, or does it belong to Venezuela, right? We're still trying to figure that out. There is contention, and that contention resurfaced. This is something dating back from 1800s, but it has come back to the surface, I think, since last year. Correct me if I'm wrong. Why? Because we have discovered even. So you understand, wherever there is oil, there is problems. Anytime you find oil, find problem. Problem will show up in some way, shape, or form. But all right, next up, how European cannabis seed companies are quietly taking over the US market. So to the Caribbean cannabis companies. I think we have the best in the world, Caribbean. What can go so?
Probably had the best in the world. Remember, after the shipwriter agreement, a lot of the original strain of weed in Jamaica was cut down when the US had led that, right? That's before the whole cannabis thing get legalized here in the US. And the original domestic tree is the one that used to grow taller than the hybrid. So a lot of people got rid of the original domestic and started cultivating the hybrid tree because they were shorter and easier to camouflage and hide from the helicopters and prevent the US down. So the original strain in Jamaica is not even as popular in Jamaica as it used to be.
Facts. That is a fact. Fact. All right. Let me read the article real quick. So this one can be found on the other name for cannabis. We know that the street name, or the plant name for cannabis. I have to censor myself because there are certain words you cannot say on YouTube. And yes, we are streaming live on YouTube, so we have to govern ourselves accordingly, right? So, according to M Retail Report, and you can spell out the rest of M on your search in your search bars. mretailreport.com. The cannabis industry owes much of its foundation to one simple but often overlooked component: the seed. While modern commercial cultivation frequently relies on cloning and tissue culture to maintain genetic consistency, seeds remain essential for biodiversity and the expansion of cannabis genetics. Despite being the cornerstone of cannabis cultivation, seeds have long taken a backseat in the broader US market, overshadowed by products with mass appeal like flour, edibles, and concentrates. Yet, a significant shift is underway. European cannabis seed companies are capitalizing on the rising trend of home cultivation, redefining their role as a key driver of the industry's growth. In 2022, the US cannabis seed market was valued at $567.76 million dollars and is projected to grow at a compound annual growth rate of 17.2%, reaching $2.02 billion dollars by 2030. This is according to Data Bridge Market Research. This rapid growth, fueled by legalization and the rise of home cultivation, represents a golden opportunity for European leaders like Blimburn Seeds, Royal Queen Seeds, ILGM, and Zamnesia. Blimburn, for instance, reports annual sales of 12 to 15 million seeds globally, with approximately 8 million sold in the US alone. The company generates close to 8 million annually, evidencing the growing demand for quality cannabis seeds, particularly among home growers. Similarly, ILGM, I Love Growing M, founded in 2012, highlights its significant reach, having reportedly sold more than 30 million seeds to 1 million home growers across the US since its inception. We have some concerns, Mr. President. We have some serious concerns. And let me hone in on Jamaica for a second. I'll take you back to Jamaica. Jamaica is known, yes, it is known for its cannabis. Back in the day, let's take it back to say the 90s, when a lot of tourists from Europe in particular made their way to Jamaica, to the beautiful shores of, just for the scenery, not just for the beaches or the excursions, but also to indulge in our natural organic herbs and spices, in particular our cannabis. We never have no lab grown nothing, and it, in my opinion, I think it's still the world's best. Why didn't, okay, stop right there moments. I think you know the answer before you even ask. Is Jamaica in all of this? Let me just ask that out. Where is Jamaica in all of this?
Moments. How could Jamaica be in all of this when cannabis is still illegal on the books in Jamaica and the Carib? And in the US, yes, federally it might be illegal, but the amount of states in which it is legal now and the freedom of which they have to do their research and stuff, how would you ever catch up? We are not proactive in those respects. Soon, when everybody else lift the restrictions and so on, we will do the same thing, but then we will just be customers. That's what.
Yeah, Mr. President. So I jumped on Google. I typed in the question, is cannabis illegal in Jamaica? And according to Google, and I'm not sure if it's right, but I'm reading it nonetheless. Yes, cannabis is illegal in Jamaica, but possession of small petty offense. In 2015, Jamaica's parliament passed the Dangerous Drugs Amendment Act, also known as the G Law. The law made it a ticketable offense to possess up to 2 ounces or 57 grams of cannabis. This means that those who possess this amount of cannabis will receive a ticket but will not be arrested and will not have a criminal record. The law also established regulations for the use of cannabis for medical, scientific, and therapeutic purposes, as well as for members of the Rastafarian faith. How on earth can it be illegal in Jamaica? The best cannabis in the world, illegal in Jamaica. But yet, we do have dispensaries in Jamaica, imported cannabis. That makes sense to me. So, is it our government that is responsible for this? Or is it an outside body that is telling Jamaica that you must do this, you must adhere to this imposition, and we will continue to flourish on the outside, but no, you cannot benefit. You are going to oppress your own.
Our moments is us and our mentality. You see, in the Caribbean, we still think that cannabis, right, is about smoking. Because most people just smoke it, we will look at it. All the other many use of it and all the research and all the stuff, we haven't done that. So when you talk about cannabis, all you're talking about is somebody smoking, which is the least profitable part of the industry.
Mm-hmm.
The least profitable. Mm-hmm. So that is why we still back then, because we look at it that way. We don't look at all the benefits that could be derived from it, medically and otherwise.
Mm-hmm. I agree. So, but you see, at the same time, I don't want to disregard the international bodies that somehow pull our strings. And we agree to do certain things to appease them because there is something to be gained, if I'm making sense. All right.
Although that is true, we have to, at some point in time, we have to start taking responsibilities.
Yes.
We can't continue to just cede power to everybody else.
Mm-hmm.
The truth.
Yeah, I agree. All right. Thank you so much. It is time for Stories Out of North America. We're not going to be able to get through all our stories today. The rest we'll have to reel in on Friday. Sorry. Won't be here tomorrow. We'll not be here tomorrow. I'm off tomorrow. I thought it was today, but it's actually tomorrow that I won't be here, but I'll be back on Friday. So in Stories Out of North America, and I do have to stop at 1 o'clock. Biden pardons his siblings and their spouses on his way out of the White House. I found this one rather interesting, Mr. President, because I was like, huh? All right, let's get into this one. According to news.com, Joe Biden pardoned his siblings and their spouses on his way out of the White House Monday that his family had been subjected to unrelenting attacks and threats, motivated solely by a desire to hurt me, the worst kind of partisan politics. Unfortunately, I have no reason to believe these attacks will end, he said, as his presidential term was ending. The family pardons were the surprise finale in a series of unprecedented presidential actions by the Democrat, who has been known as an institutionalist during his half-century in politics. Biden also pardoned Dr. Anthony Fauci, retired General Mark Milley, members of the House committee that investigated the January 6th attack on the Capitol, and allies who have been targeted by Republican President Donald Trump. He, of course, we remember, was sworn in on Monday. It was a remarkable use of Biden's presidential power. None of the above has been charged with any crime, but the move was designed to guard against possible retribution by Trump. Trump, during his campaign, repeatedly suggested he would seek to use the Justice Department to exact retribution against his perceived political foes. His pick for Attorney General, Pam Bondi, told lawmakers during her confirmation hearing last week that the department would not prosecute anyone for political purposes. But she refused to rule out potential investigations into Trump adversaries, including the special counsel who brought 2 federal criminal cases against Trump that have since been abandoned. Last month, Biden pardoned his son Hunter for tax and gun crimes, despite his previous pledges not to do so. Biden issued blanket pardons for his brother James and his wife Sarah, his sister Valerie, and her husband John Owens, and his brother Francis. The issue of pardons should not be mistaken as an acknowledgement that they engaged in any wrongdoing, nor should acceptance be misconstrued as an admission of guilt for any offense, he said in a statement. The pardons came just before noon. Biden was already at the Capitol to see Trump rated. House Republicans in June sent a letter to the Justice Department recommending the prosecution of Hunter and James Biden, accusing them of making false statements to the Congress as part of a Republican impeachment party. All right. When I saw it, I was like, huh, why would he need to pardon his family members, his siblings and spouses? I was surprised. I was not aware that there was something to be concerned about as it relates to his family members. So I found this one rather interesting, President, I admit. Pardoning Dr. Anthony Fauci, why was that necessary?
Because he's been the subject of online abuse, threats, and what have you. And excuse me. Oh, excuse me. Drink some water.
Yes, drink some water. Drink some water. Clear your throat out.
Yes, as I was saying.
Yes, sir.
He's been the subject of online abuse, and he's been used as some sort of scapegoat, and which is ironic with regards to the vaccine mandate. The irony is Trump took the vaccine.
Did he?
Trump was
Do
he did.
we know for sure?
No, he did. He did. Yes, he did. He did. He took the vaccine, and he initially was talking about people getting the vaccines to protect their family, but the moment his crowd pushed back against him, he went the other way. That's when he told people to start drinking bleach. I mean, it's just anyone that I listen. I'm a casual bystander. I'm watching this stuff, and it's hilarious, but at the same time, it's dangerous. It's just dangerous.
Dangerously hilarious.
Yeah, it's because all that needs to happen is something pivotal to happen, and everybody lose sight of what is real.
Yes.
And then what's gonna happen. The powerful protect themselves until they start eating each other, which is bound to. No, that's usually how empires crumble. It doesn't crumble.
Within.
Yeah, it crumbles from within, because you've seen what's it called? You've seen an example of it with the tiny one being thrown to the sharks, then saying he's going to run for the governor of a state where, come on, please.
In our next article, we did cover two of the articles out of North America earlier, where we spoke about President Trump signing orders to signed an order to restrict birthright citizenship. We went into that article. We also covered the bishop confronting Trump during a sermon at an inaugural prayer service and him not being happy with it at all. So this is the only other one we need to cover. And this is relating to immigration as well. So Trump administration strips schools of immigration enforcement protections. So let's get into this one, courtesy of NPR. And where are you? Here you go. All right. So immigration authorities can now enter schools, healthcare facilities, and places of worship to conduct arrests. This is according to a new policy from the Department of Homeland Security. Criminals will no longer be able to hide in America's schools and churches to avoid arrest. That's according to a DHS spokesperson in a statement. The Trump administration will not tie the hands of our brave law enforcement and instead trusts them to use common sense. The directive, which covers agents from immigration and customs enforcement and customs and border protection, rescinds guidance from the Biden administration that created protected areas that primarily consisted of places where children gather, disaster or emergency relief sites, and social services establishments. The Biden era guideline mandated that immigration enforcement operations shouldn't take place in or near a location that would limit people's access to essential services or activities. A second directive, DHS, announced on Tuesday, also followed through on one of President Trump's executive orders signed Monday night to terminate all categorical parole programs that are contrary to the policies of the United States established in my executive orders, including the humanitarian parole program for people from Nicaragua, Cuba, Haiti, and Venezuela. Trump's border czar, Tom Homan, told CNN on Tuesday that ICE is back doing their job effective today and that agents are focused on migrants considered a public safety. Pullman said arrests of migrants without a criminal record could also be swept up by ICE, especially those living in sanctuary jurisdictions, cities where local law enforcement is prohibited from assisting federal immigration officials. He declined to provide specific information on locations. There are going to be more collateral arrests in sanctuary cities because they forced us to go into the community to find the guy we're looking for, Pullman said.
You know, the verbiage on this story is ridiculous. Criminals, children, school, migrants. So you're saying that everyone in these areas are criminals, every single one. And if we just happen to pick you up by accident, oh, well, that's a plus. Ridiculous, just ridiculous.
Yeah, I really don't know.
And this is what we are supposed to excuse because the media is playing both sides. I yield.
Yeah. All right, folks. In the interest of time, let's keep it moving. Next up, we have our business and tech segment brought to you by Grant Coffee. Go ahead.
I was going to ask you the question. Did you get the story about Prince Harry?
No. Send it to me so we can add it to the runner show for Friday.
Okay, we'll do.
Thank you. Appreciate you.
Yeah, the palace will be grateful.
The world's best coffee from our farms to your cup. It's Grant Coffee House. All right. Netflix is raising prices after reporting its biggest ever subscriber jump. Come on, Netflix. Article courtesy of CNN via WSVN. Netflix announced on Tuesday it will raise prices on most of its subscription tiers in the US and Canada after the streaming giant reported 15 million new subscribers in the last quarter of 2024. Do you remember why they ended up with the 19 million new subscribers? Anybody remember? Remember what happened last year? Okay. The jump in subscribers, Netflix's biggest ever, puts the streaming giant at 302 million worldwide, thereby solidifying the company's hold on the top spot in the industry. Netflix attributed the service's success to the Mike Tyson, Jake Paul, which a lot of people weren't able to see because it just kept looping. But anyway, people were baited in, but let me stop. Keep it moving, moments. Keep it moving. Netflix attributed the service's success to the Mike Tyson, Jake Paul boxing match in November, which drew 108 million global viewers, making it the most streamed sporting event ever, as well as its twin Christmas Day NFL games, which averaged 30 million global viewers, making them the most streamed football games in history. The price increases announced Tuesday will see the standard monthly membership without advertising increase from $15.49 to $17.99. That's our two. Hold on a second. Something just popped up here. WSVN is saying Pentagon to send up to 1,500 active duty troops to help secure U.S.-Mexico border officials. All right, we talk about that on Friday. Sorry about that. So we have gone up $2.50. Yeah, while the standard account with ads will rise $1 to $7.99. Its highest priced premium tier, which includes 4K video quality, will increase by $2 to $24.99. Netflix also revenue increased 16%, exceeding $10 billion for the first time in the company's history, while operating income totaled $2.3 billion, a 52% on-year increase. The company's stock surged 13% on the news Tuesday afternoon. Netflix. What's the reason for the look at talking truth now? What's the reason for the increase? Me not understand why Netflix are increase. Why a lot of tickets going up to $5? Certain things just don't make sense to me. I really don't get it. Why? Why? Netflix. More. 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 Great point in the chat on fan base. The midterms are going to be so much indeed. That is, yeah. Let's see how that would play out. So that was our story from our business and tech segment. Coming up on Friday, why elite MBA graduates are struggling to find jobs. 3 remote jobs you can start with no experience in 2025, as well as Oxfam says billionaires' wealth soared in 2024 with 4 minted every week. So those stories are coming up in our business and tech segment on a Friday. Let us try and squeeze in a health and science segment here. Coffee and Toe is brought to you in part by Lormel Skin Food. Log on to lormelskinfood.com. Discover the range of natural skincare solutions. Indulge in the radiance of natural and organic beauty with the best natural and organic soap bars, whipped soaps, body butters, and oils. All 100% natural products. Lormel Skin Food for a natural, beautiful you. The world's best coffee from our YouTube live. Thank you for being here with us. All right, so our health and science news story. Trump announces U.S. withdrawal from World Health Organization. Is this a good thing or a bad thing? I don't even know what's good or bad anymore. I'm just here. And like the rest of you, we're just here taking it day by day. I don't know if anything should surprise us. All right. So let's get it one. Wasn't there a removal from the Paris Agreement as well? If I think there was the signing of that.
No, when he came the first time of Count Dracula.
Listen, watch for the names. Don't get us in trouble. Wasn't on Monday for the drawing out of the Paris Agreement? I must have.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
He did. It's a repeat of what he did the first time also.
Okay, that's what I thought. All right. So this one in our health and science segment, and we can find the story on CNN. President Donald Trump Monday, he is withdrawing the U.S. from the World Health Organization in a significant move that drew criticism from public health experts on his first day back in the House. Trump has long been critical. Oh, Adesoji, your mic is open. Trump has long been critical of the United Nations' health agency, and his administration formally began a withdrawal from the WHO in July 2020 as the COVID-19 pandemic continued to spread. But 4 years ago, then President Joe Biden halted the U.S.'s exit from the body tasked with coordinating the international response to health emergencies in one of his first actions after taking over the White House. The text of Monday's executive order cites the organization's mishandling of the COVID-19 pandemic that arose out of Wuhan, China, and other global health crises, its failure to adopt urgently needed reforms, and its inability to demonstrate independence from the political influence of WHO member states as reasons for the U.S. withdrawal. That's a big one, Trump told an aide as he began to sign the executive order, pointing to his 2020 decision belief that the US was paying too much money to the organization compared to other countries. In 2020, Trump also consistently accused the organization of aiding China in allegedly covering up the origins of COVID 19 and allowing its spread. CNN has reached out to the WHO for comment. Okay. So, what happens if there is another global health crisis and the US is impacted? How do we fit into that equation? How does the US fit into that equation? What can we expect? What can we expect from that? I don't know. I really don't know.
I think what's most significant is not the WTO, but the fact that each successive administration, the US seemed to be flip-flopping on policies. So how do other countries be able to take any US president serious when they're making all these deals, knowing it's possible that the next administration will just come and rescind it? I think that is one of the key things you have to look at, is that you can't trust anybody because every election, your deal could just fall through. So your credibility is just disappearing.
Oh boy. We're operating like fish on the seashore, gasping for breath when we're out of the water. Coming up on Friday in our Health and Science segment, perfectionism can harm your health. And we're going to talk about 5 tips to loosen its grip on your psyche. Also coming up on Friday, does eczema change with age? And just a reminder, January marks Cervical Cancer Awareness Month. So yes, you're going to hear this until the end of the month, folks. Please, ladies, schedule your OBGYN appointments, get your pap smears done, your cervical exams done, get your blood work done. Awareness is key. Awareness is key. Men, we're not forgetting about you. Please schedule appointments to get your PSA blood work done, or get your blood work done so we can know what your PSA, you can know what your PSA readings are. But all up in our business, right? Knowledge is power. And once you are aware, you know how to move forward. Lifestyle change is also important. We do the best that we can with what we have access to, right? There are certain things beyond our control, but we control what we can with what we have. Our health ultimately is our wealth. We are busy, many of us, taking care of others, and some of us deliberately decline to take care of ourselves, or we get so exhausted taking care of everybody else that we forget to take care of ourselves. So 2025 is the year we're moving differently, right? We as we take care of us, we take care of ourselves too. So please, folks, again, schedule your appointments, ladies. Schedule your appointments with your OBGYNs, men. Schedule your appointments with your urologists, okay? All right, do not ignore your health. And I am glitching here on fan base. Whoops, fan base. Okay, so I lost contact on fan base, but I want to say thank you to everyone listening online, and thank you to everyone right here with me on YouTube Live. We will be back on Friday morning with another show. YouTube Live, I'm back with you at 9:35. You can catch up on past episodes of Coffee in Tow by going to coffeeintow.com. We have 2 pages dedicated to past episodes. One is for you to catch up. You can play catch up on full episodes, and the other one is just a sip of coffee, where we have highlighted conversations that we've had regarding articles discussed here on Coffee Into. So to everyone listening online on QMZRadio.com, JanoRadio. Coffee in Tow is an interactive world news podcast, a dynamic and engaging live show that streams across multiple internet radio stations worldwide. This podcast brings you real-time news updates, in-depth analysis, and interactive discussions on global events, making you a part of the conversation no matter where you are. With a diverse range of expert guests and listener participation, it's your go-to source for staying informed and connected to the world. Coffee in Tow is brought to you in part by Lormel Skin Food. Log on to lormelskinfood.com. Discover the range of natural skincare solutions. Indulge in the radiance of natural and organic beauty with the best natural and organic soap bars, whipped soaps, body butters, and oils. All 100% natural products. Lormel Skin Food for a natural, beautiful you. The world's best coffee from our farms to your cup. It's Grand Coffee House.